My name is Renveyron, and 20 years ago I was the kind of gamer who could lose a duel to a chicken. I am not exaggerating. The chicken was level 2. I was level 4. I had a wooden sword, a dented beginner helmet, and a skill called beginner courage that gave me 3% resistance to fear. The chicken pecked my ankle, I panicked, ran into a fence, and got stuck between 2 barrels while 12 players laughed at me. That was my glorious career in Eternal Dominion on launch day. I played for 6 hours, reached level 4, got distracted by real life, forgot my password, replaced my computer, moved twice, changed jobs 3 times, and eventually forgot the game existed. Then, 20 years later, my nephew Milo sent me a message saying, "Uncle Ren, you still have an Eternal Dominion account, right?" I told him I probably did, unless the chicken had inherited it. He did not laugh. Apparently Eternal Dominion was no longer some old fantasy game people played after school. It had become the biggest full dive world on the planet. Entire tournaments happened inside it. Professional guilds had sponsorship deals. People bought virtual castles for more money than actual houses. There were celebrity blacksmiths, dungeon economists, monster ranchers, political guild alliances, and one famous streamer who had become rich by pretending to be a goblin merchant for 14 straight years. Milo wanted to know if I had any launch day cosmetics, so I dug through ancient email addresses until I found my original account. The username was still there, Renveyron_1999. I cringed so hard I almost abandoned the mission, but when I logged in, the game greeted me like a dead emperor returning from the grave. Welcome back, Pioneer. Account age, 20 years, 3 months, 11 days. Last logout location, Bramblewick Training Field. Character level, 4. Unclaimed seasonal rewards, 731. Unread system mail, 9,999 plus. Unopened compensation packages, 284. Unspent Pioneer tokens, 12. Then another message appeared. Rested experience accumulated. I stared at it. Rested experience bonus, 8,400,000%. I blinked. The number stayed there. I thought it had to be a visual bug. The modern rules, according to Milo, capped rested experience after 1 week. Everyone knew that. You could log off for months and still only get the same small bonus. But my account had been created during the first 6 hours of the original launch, back when the developers had not added the cap. For some reason, my character had continued collecting rested experience every single second for 20 years. I had become a financial crime committed against mathematics. I spawned in Bramblewick Training Field wearing the exact same horrible equipment I remembered. My wooden sword had 3 durability left. My boots were mismatched because I had accidentally sold one of the original pair. I still had a stale beginner bread loaf in my inventory, and the item description had changed over the years. Ancient bread, a preserved food relic from the age of launch. Museum appraisal value, 48,000 gold. I nearly ate it by accident. The training field had changed too. What used to be a patch of grass with slimes was now a polished beginner zone surrounded by glowing tutorial arrows. New players in elegant starter armor zipped around with animated pets and cosmetic wings. A bronze statue of some legendary hero stood where the chicken had once humiliated me. I was the only person dressed like a homeless scarecrow. A level 1 player looked at me and whispered, "Is that an event NPC?" Another said, "No, I think that armor texture was deleted." I ignored them because 10 feet away, bouncing peacefully beside a flower, was a green slime. Level 1, 1 health bar. I walked over and poked it with my wooden sword. The slime made a tiny squeak and vanished. Then the sky exploded. Level up, level up. Level up, level up. The messages stacked so fast they became a solid wall of light. My body flashed 33 times in 3 seconds. My health bar expanded. My mana bar appeared, vanished, returned as a larger mana bar, and then split because I had apparently unlocked a second resource I did not understand. I went from level 4 to level 37. Every new player in the field stopped moving. One guy dropped his bow. A girl riding a pink fox slowly turned toward me. Someone said, "What did that slime know?" I was wondering the same thing. Then my wooden sword broke. The game interpreted this as an achievement. Pioneer equipment destroyed. Because I had broken an item that had survived since launch day, I received an archival feat reward. Plus 50 permanent strength, plus 50 permanent vitality, plus 1 title, Breaker of History. I did not even know titles gave stats now. A goblin wandered out from behind a stump. Level 3. It saw me standing in a shower of golden lights, and still made the brave decision to attack. I respected that. It hit me with a rusty spoon. The spoon bent. The goblin looked at the spoon. Then it looked at me. I punched it once. The goblin flew backward through a tutorial sign, skipped across the grass like a stone, and crashed into the statue of the legendary hero. Level up. The game started screaming again. Level 37 became level 43, then 50, then 62, then 81, then 96, and finally 109. The beginner field fell silent. I had been logged in for less than 4 minutes. A global announcement rang across the entire server. A forgotten pioneer has surpassed level 100. Hidden condition fulfilled. Return of the first generation. Every player on the continent received the announcement. I know because 3 seconds later I got 17,000 friend requests. Then Bramblewick's local guard captain ran toward me. His name was Captain Orla, level 210. And she had that terrifying polished armor that told me she was not part of the original game. She stopped in front of me, drew her sword, and said, "Unknown entity, identify yourself." I said Ren. She narrowed her eyes. Classification? I looked at my interface. Apparently, beginner swordsman? She looked at the crater where the goblin had landed. Then she looked at my bare hands. Then she looked at my level. You are level 109. Yes. You are wearing level 1 equipment. Yes. You have no registered class advancement. I've been busy. You logged in 5 minutes ago. That is what I mean. Before she could arrest me for suspicious math, another system message appeared. Class advancement overdue. You have passed the level threshold for first advancement, second advancement, third advancement, and fourth advancement. Choose immediately. The world froze around me. A circular menu unfolded with dozens of class options. Swordsman, Knight, Berserker, Duelist, Spellblade, Royal Guard, Dragon Hunter, Rune Warrior, Battle Saint. Then the menu glitched. More options appeared. Old options. Classes that had been removed years ago. Launch Warrior, Patchless Fighter, Unbalanced Swordsman, Beta Berserker. And at the bottom, one class with a cracked gray icon. Unfinished Hero. Requirement. Possess a character created before class standardization. Requirement. Level beyond first advancement without completing any advancement quest. Requirement. Survive at least one deleted tutorial encounter. I had apparently survived the launch day chicken, which counted. The class description had only one sentence. This class was never finished. That was not reassuring. But every modern class had 20 pages of abilities, skill rotations, gear requirements, recommended stat distributions, and community ratings. Unfinished Hero had none of that. It was beautiful. I selected it. Captain Orla shouted, "Wait." Too late. The game froze. Not just around me. Every bird stopped midair. Every player locked in place. The grass became perfectly still. Even the clouds stopped moving. A black system window appeared. Legacy class detected. Compatibility check failed. Attempting conversion. Conversion failed. Attempting forced retirement. Retirement failed. Reason. Class has no retirement script. Attempting deletion. Deletion permission denied. Reason. Pioneer account protected by original ownership clause. I had no idea what that meant, but I was starting to like the people who wrote the launch day terms of service. The system tried one last time. Feelback protocol activated. Unfinished Hero will retain original progression rules. My stats changed. Modern players gained 5 attribute points per level. Apparently the original version gave 10. The developers had nerfed it in the first week. My account had never received that patch correctly. So the game recalculated 105 level ups using the old rule. I suddenly had over 1,000 unspent stat points. Then the class passive activated. Unfinished growth. Any skill learned below mastery can evolve beyond its intended limit. I read that sentence 3 times. Captain Orla unfroze. She finished shouting the word wait, saw the new icon above my head, and became pale. You chose that. Was I not supposed to? That class does not exist. I just picked it from a menu. That class was removed before public release. Well, I was here before public release. She stared at me like I had personally crawled out of a developer's basement. Then the training field shook. The goblin I had punched had crashed into the statue, and the statue had fallen onto an old sealed stone plate beneath the ground. That plate shattered. A red warning appeared. Hidden launch dungeon discovered. The hole under the tutorial. Recommended party level 12. Historical status removed. Current stability terrible. A black pit opened in the center of the training field. Every beginner screamed and ran away. Naturally, I fell in. I dropped for 15 seconds, hit a giant mushroom, bounced sideways, crashed through a wooden bridge, landed on a sleeping skeleton, and killed it with my spine. Level up. Level 109 became 138. The skeleton dropped a rusty key. The key was considered a historical item. My pioneer title upgraded. Permanent luck increased by 20. The mushroom I bounced on counted as a rare environmental interaction. Permanent agility increased by 5. The bridge I destroyed turned out to be a hidden achievement object. Permanent strength increased by 10. I had fallen into a dungeon and was being rewarded for property damage. I stood up and saw 30 skeletons staring at me. They were all level 10. One raised a sword. I raised my hands. "I should warn you," I said. "I am having a very strange morning." They charged. I did not have a weapon, so I grabbed the rusty key and used it like a tiny dagger. The first skeleton exploded. The experience bonus triggered. My level jumped 12 times. The shockwave from my stat increase knocked the second skeleton apart. That counted as my kill. Another 8 levels. My new vitality increased my body weight calculation for knockback resistance, so when the third skeleton hit me, it shattered its own sword. The broken blade flew backward and cut through 2 more skeletons. That counted 2. By the time I understood what was happening, I was standing in a storm of bones while my level counter spun like a slot machine. 138. 170, 206, 249, 312. The dungeon boss had not even woken up yet. My problem was that leveling was no longer helping me understand my own character. Every 25 levels, new menus unlocked. Every 50 levels, another system introduced itself. I gained relic slots, aura channels, resistance lattices, a soul inventory, a reputation panel, a mount license, a territory tab, a follower command wheel, and something called divine pressure that I was apparently not supposed to possess before level 800. I closed all of them. Then I accidentally opened the emote menu. A skeleton lunged at me. I pressed the first emote by mistake. Wave. My character waved. Because my strength was now over 600, the air pressure from my hand created a blast that launched the skeleton through 3 walls. The dungeon trembled. A notification appeared. Basic emote wave has dealt combat damage. Unfinished growth has detected abnormal skill usage. Wave evolved into forceful greeting. I stared at my hand. No, another skeleton charged. I waved again. The entire corridor detonated. Forceful greeting leveled up, then evolved. Royal greeting, then evolved again. Emperor's casual acknowledgement. The animation remained exactly the same. I just waved like I had seen someone across the street. A cone of invisible force ripped through the dungeon and erased every monster in front of me. The level counter went berserk. I reached level 481. Somewhere above me, a global announcement rang. A player has cleared the deleted dungeon, the hole under the tutorial. Clear time, 3 minutes, 14 seconds. Previous record, none. Historical reward restored. Then the dungeon boss woke up. It was called Greg. I wish I were joking. Greg, the Tutorial Devourer, level 50. He was a giant armored centipede with a crown, 6 swords, a flaming tail, and 1 tiny pair of reading glasses. He burst through the floor beneath me while screaming, "Who dares invade my abandoned kingdom?" I looked down at the nameplate. Greg? His entire body stopped. Do not mock the name Greg. I'm not mocking it. I just expected something more like Abyssal Bone Emperor. My mother named me Greg. Your mother was a centipede? That is not relevant. He attacked. All 6 swords came at my face. I panicked and crouched. His swords missed me, struck each other, and generated sparks. The sparks hit his flaming tail. His tail ignited harder, which apparently activated a hidden rage mechanic. Greg doubled in size. He became level 100. Then he screamed, "At last, my true form." I said congratulations. He seemed confused by my support. Then he tried to crush me. I jumped backward, forgetting that I had dumped 200 points into agility because it sounded useful. I crossed the room instantly, broke through the wall, continued through another wall, and landed in a treasure chamber. Greg followed. I grabbed the nearest object to defend myself. It was a broom. Item, janitor's broom. Damage, 1. Durability, 400. Special effect, none. Greg lunged. I swung the broom. The first hit did 1 damage. Then my rested experience bonus did absolutely nothing because he was not dead. That was when I realized a serious weakness in my miracle. 8,000,000% extra experience was useless if I could not actually kill something. Greg had 2 million health. I had a broom, so I did what every great warrior does in a desperate situation. I cheated with furniture. The treasure room had 6 enormous gold statues holding the ceiling. I lured Greg around them while using my ridiculous agility to stay ahead of him. Each time he attacked, I ducked behind a statue. Each time, one of his 6 swords cut into the statue's base. After the 4th statue, Greg realized what I was doing. "Stop using the architecture. I paid for the whole dungeon." "I'm using the whole dungeon." "You did not pay for anything." "I bought the game in 2006. That was $20. It was $25 with tax." The 5th statue fell. The ceiling cracked. Greg charged in rage. I stood behind the final statue. He swung all 6 swords. The base shattered. I waved at him. Emperor's casual acknowledgement blasted Greg backward. He slammed into the collapsing statue. The statue fell into the cracked ceiling support. The entire treasure chamber came down. For 3 seconds, all I could see was dust. Then the boss health bar vanished. Level up. My level jumped from 481 to 622. The boss kill also gave me a unique reward. Greg's Respect. A passive title effect increased damage against enemies who had criticized my equipment. I did not ask why. Then a tiny ghost floated out of the rubble. It had Greg's face. "You have defeated me," he said solemnly. "Take my crown and rule the forgotten tutorial depths. I don't want to rule a hole. It has good mushrooms, I noticed, and low property tax." "How low?" "0. The kingdom was deleted." That was actually compelling. I accepted the crown. The territory panel I had closed earlier opened by itself. Territory acquired. Forgotten tutorial depths. Population 1. I looked at Greg's ghost. He looked at me. "I assume that is me," he said. "Yes." "Excellent. I demand a pension." Before I could negotiate with my first citizen, Captain Orla and a squad of high-level guards descended into the dungeon using teleportation magic. They found me at level 622 holding a broom, wearing beginner rags, crowned king of a deleted underground nation, while the ghost of a centipede named Greg argued about retirement benefits. Captain Orla lowered her sword. "I was going to ask what happened. That seems reasonable. I have changed my mind." "Also reasonable." Then the wall behind us began glowing. A symbol appeared. Not a normal dungeon symbol. It was old, pixelated, and surrounded by the same cracked gray color as my unfinished hero class. Greg's ghost went silent. Captain Orla stepped back. "What is that?" I asked. She answered quietly. "A sealed launch gate." "Where does it go?" "No one knows. The last record of one opening was 19 years ago." The wall split apart. A door of black light appeared. Then a hand reached through from the other side. Not a monster hand. A human hand. It grabbed the doorway, pulled, and a man in silver armor stumbled into the dungeon. His armor was ancient. His health bar was almost empty. His name was hidden behind static. He looked directly at me. Then he saw the pioneer icon beside my username. His eyes widened. "You're still here," I pointed at myself. "Do we know each other?" He collapsed to one knee. The first server never shut down. Captain Orla froze. I had no idea what he meant. Then something enormous moved behind the black doorway. The stranger looked over his shoulder and screamed, "Close it." I had just returned to a game after 20 years, gained 600 levels before lunch, defeated a boss with a broom, inherited an underground kingdom, and somehow none of that felt as dangerous as the thing slowly opening its eyes on the other side of that gate. So naturally, I waved at it. My wave crossed the doorway. For one perfect second, nothing happened. Then the eye on the other side blinked. A damage number appeared. 1. I had dealt 1 point of damage to something so large that its eyelid looked like a castle gate. The stranger in silver armor stared at me. Captain Orla stared at me. Greg's ghost stared at me. I slowly lowered my hand. That was a greeting. The creature roared. The roar came through the launch gate like a hurricane trapped inside a cathedral. Captain Orla slammed her sword into the floor to keep from being blown away. The guards flew backward. Greg's ghost rotated in the air like a leaf. I skidded 20 feet, hit a treasure chest, and accidentally opened it with my spine. Historical treasure discovered. I received a pair of socks. Ancient wool socks. Defense 2. Set bonus, feet remain comfortable. I equipped them immediately. The creature shoved part of its face through the doorway. Its name finally appeared. Unpatched World Eater. Level 9,999. I was level 622. I had a broom. Captain Orla grabbed my shoulder. "Can you close the gate?" "No. You opened it." I fell into a dungeon. The gate opened itself. "Then why did you attack the creature?" I waved. "That is not helping." The stranger forced himself upright. He had white hair, cracked silver armor, and a sword that looked like it had been repaired with wire. "The gate reacts to pioneer accounts. It followed your login signature." I pointed at the giant eye. "That thing followed my username? It has been searching for an active original account for 19 years. I suddenly regretted every password recovery email I had sent that morning. The World Eater pushed harder. The edges of the doorway cracked. Its face could not fit, but one finger could. A claw entered the room. Just one. It was the size of a train. Captain Orla's guards attacked together. Fire, lightning, arrows, holy spears, and enough special effects to make the room impossible to see struck the claw. Its health did not move. The World Eater flicked its finger. All 12 guards disappeared into the opposite wall. Captain Orla was level 210. The guards ranged from 180 to 300. In the modern beginner region, they were supposed to be terrifying. To this thing, they were confetti. The stranger shouted, Do not let it touch the current server. Its code predates the conversion system. If it enters fully, the world will try to translate it. The translation will overwrite everything nearby. I did not understand half of that, but I understood overwrite. My new kingdom had good mushrooms. I was not letting a giant antique finger delete it. I opened my inventory. Museum bread, broken beginner helmet, 12 pioneer tokens, 43 health potions from compensation mail I had accidentally claimed, a rusted key, Greg's crown, janitor's broom. Then I noticed a tiny object at the bottom, beginner teleport stone, bound destination Bramblewick training field, single use. I looked at the claw, I looked at the stone, then I looked at Captain Orla. Can monsters use player teleport items? No. Can items teleport while touching monsters? She paused. Maybe. Good enough. I sprinted toward the gate. Captain Orla shouted something behind me, but my agility had become so absurd that the sound arrived after I did. I jumped onto the World Eater's claw. The moment my feet touched its skin, a resistance warning covered my vision. Corruption exposure, legacy damage, version mismatch, unknown debuff. My health dropped by 12% just from standing there. I ran along the claw toward the gate, pressed the teleport stone against one of its scales, and activated it. The stone shattered. Nothing happened. I had a very educational half-second, and the entire claw vanished. So did I. We reappeared in Bramblewick training field. The World Eater's severed finger landed in the grass with enough force to create a crater through the tutorial flower garden. I landed on top of it. Every beginner player screamed again. One of them yelled, "He came back with loot." The finger was still alive. Its detached health bar appeared. Unpatched World Eater finger. Level 9999. Health remaining 0.0002%. The teleport had cut it off from the main body. I did not need to beat a level 9000 monster. I only needed to beat its finger. I raised the janitor's broom. The finger twitched. I hit it once. 1 damage. It still had more than 1 damage left. I hit it again. 1 damage. The finger began lifting from the ground. I hit it a third time. Critical hit. 2 damage. The finger died. Then my rested experience bonus met a level 9000 monster fragment. The game lost its mind. My level counter jumped so fast the digits blurred. 622 became 700. 700 became 900. 900 became 1,300. 1,300 became 2,000. The system began skipping animation frames. I gained levels in batches of 50. 2,500. 3,100. 3,700, 4,200. Then the world turned white. I thought I had died. Instead, every class advancement I had skipped tried to activate at once. 5th advancement overdue. 6th advancement overdue. 7th advancement overdue. Ascension overdue. Awakening overdue. Mythic threshold overdue. Celestial threshold unavailable. Error. Celestial threshold available. Error. Account age exception detected. The messages stacked until I could not see anything. Then unfinished growth activated. It looked at all the modern progression systems, apparently decided they were suggestions, and did something much worse. Your class cannot find compatible advancement paths. Creating path from accumulated actions. I waited. My actions so far included killing a slime, punching a goblin, falling through a floor, breaking a dungeon, waving at skeletons, using architecture against Greg, becoming king of a hole, and teleporting a giant finger into a flower garden. The game produced my new advancement, Disaster Tourist. I laughed so hard I fell off the dead finger. The class icon was a little stick figure standing beside an explosion. Passive effect, gain adaptive bonuses when entering danger far above your recommended level. Passive effect, environmental damage you intentionally redirect may count as skill damage. Passive effect, enemies become slightly more likely to underestimate you while you wear equipment below 1% of your level requirement. I looked down at my beginner shirt. For the first time, being badly dressed was a combat strategy. Then my final level settled, 4,311. I had logged in 11 minutes ago. The beginner players around the crater were speechless. One finally raised a hand. Sir? Yes? Are you the tutorial? I really hope not. The global announcement started. A player has defeated a fragment of an unpatched World Eater. The announcement stopped mid-sentence, then started again. A player has reached level 4,000. Stopped. A hidden legacy advancement has been created. Stopped. Server review in progress. Then the sky displayed a giant red notice. Please remain calm. That was the least calming sentence possible. Across Bramblewick, players began logging in by the thousands. Teleport circles flashed. Streamers arrived. High-level guild scouts appeared in expensive armor. Flying mounts crowded the sky. People surrounded the crater, all pointing cameras at me. I was standing on a severed monster finger wearing one ancient sock on each foot, holding a broom. A woman with golden dragon wings pushed through the crowd. Her name was Lyra Vale, level 3890, guild Astral Crown, rank Guildmaster. I knew Astral Crown because Milo had mentioned them. They were one of the 5 largest guilds in the game. They owned 3 cities, 17 raid zones, a sky fortress, and apparently enough digital real estate to make actual governments nervous. Lyra landed beside me and looked at my level, then at my broom, then at my beginner shirt, then at the dead finger. Are you Ren Veyron? Yes. How did you reach level 4000? I killed a slime. She waited. And some other things. How many other things? Not many. Her eye twitched. A second guild leader arrived. This one was a huge man in black armor named Drax Hellborn, level 4010. Leader of Iron Covenant. He carried a sword wider than my body and had a flaming wolf standing behind him. He looked at the dead World Eater finger. How many raid groups did you use? 0. Mercenaries? 0. Siege weapons? I used a teleport stone and a broom. Drax stared at me. Then he looked at Lyra, then back at me. Is this some kind of pioneer joke? I don't know any pioneer jokes. Greg's ghost floated out of the open dungeon entrance behind us. He wore the expression of a government employee arriving late to a disaster. Your Majesty, he said. The gate is still open. Drax's flaming wolf whimpered. Lyra slowly turned toward Greg. Why is the deleted tutorial boss calling you Your Majesty? I inherited a kingdom. How long have you been online? About 12 minutes. She closed her eyes. I think she was counting to 10. Captain Orla climbed out of the dungeon, covered in dust. Ren, I'm here. You teleported the claw? Yes. Do you understand what that did? Killed the finger? You severed an entity that has been impossible to damage for 19 years. That got everyone's attention. The stranger in silver armor emerged behind her. He looked even worse now. Captain Orla was supporting him with one shoulder. When Lyra saw him, her face changed. No. Drax lowered his sword. The stranger looked at them both. You recognize me? Lyra whispered, Alden Marr. That name rippled through the crowd. I did not know it. Everyone else did. Alden Marr had been the top-ranked player during Eternal Dominion's first year. He was the first to reach level 500, the first to kill a dragon, the first to found a major guild. Then, 19 years ago, he had vanished during a server-wide event called the Black Reset. Most players assumed he had quit. Some thought the account had been banned. There were documentaries about him. Conspiracy channels still made videos about his disappearance. And now he was standing in a beginner field wearing armor from 19 years ago. His visible level finally stabilized. Level 712. The crowd became even quieter. Lyra took one step forward. Where have you been? Alden looked toward the black doorway beneath the field, on the original world shard. Drax frowned. That server was deleted. No, it was isolated. Why? Alden looked at me. Because something inside learned how experience works. That sentence hit differently now. He explained while healers worked on him. The Black Reset had not been a normal update. During the first year, the developers discovered that certain ancient monsters had adaptive scripts. They learned from player behavior. The World Eater was one of them. At first, it simply copied attacks. Then it learned inventory rules, quest logic, aggro manipulation, respawn timing. Eventually, it learned that players became stronger by killing monsters. So it started killing monsters too. The game had never been designed for monsters to gain experience. The World Eater found an exploit. Every creature it consumed gave it a portion of the experience value that would have gone to a player. Then it consumed enough creatures to gain levels. Then its increased level let it consume stronger creatures. Then it repeated the process. The developers tried to patch it. The creature learned from the patch. They tried to delete it. It consumed the deletion process as an environmental event and gained a resistance to administrative damage. At that point, I started to think Greg was a very reasonable boss. The developers isolated the entire original shard and migrated almost everyone to a fresh version of the world. Almost everyone. Alden had been inside the World Eater's raid zone during the isolation. His account got trapped with it. For 19 years, I asked. Time moved differently inside the shard, Alden said. For me, it was about 6 years. That is still terrible. I died 43,000 times. That is extremely terrible. Eventually, death became a travel method. I respected him immediately. Lyra asked the important question. Why did the gate open now? Alden pointed at me. His account predates the isolation key. Everyone looked at me. I felt like a man who had accidentally brought termites to a wooden city. Alden continued. The original shard recognizes Pioneer accounts as valid anchors. When Ren logged in, the seal detected a compatible identity on this side. Drax said, so close his account. Milo would have cried. Alden shook his head. Too late. The World Eater has his signature. I raised my hand. Can I change my username? No. Worth asking. The ground shook. From inside the deleted dungeon, something slammed against the gate. Once. Twice. Then a new warning appeared across the sky. Legacy intrusion detected. Estimated gate stability 71%. The crowd panicked. High-level players drew weapons. Guild officers opened command channels. Flying mounts rose into formation. Lyra started ordering barriers around Bramblewick. Drax called for his raid divisions. I opened my stats. I had 4,000 levels and tens of thousands of unspent points. I could have dumped everything into strength and tried to punch the World Eater, but Alden had already told us direct damage was useless. The creature adapted, so instead I put 1,000 points into luck. Lyra saw me and nearly choked. What are you doing? Experimenting. You have unspent attributes? A few. How many? 38,000. Drax actually removed his helmet so I could see the disbelief on his face. You have 38,000 unspent stat points? I didn't want to commit too early. You are level 4,000. Exactly. What if the build changes? I added another 1,000 to luck. The stat value turned gold, then silver, then purple. Then it displayed a warning. Luck has exceeded supported beginner region parameters. Local probability distortion may occur. That sounded useful. I added 500 more. The warning changed. Please stop. I added 1. A bird flying above us dropped a walnut. The walnut hit a teleportation lever on an unmanned guild supply wagon. The wagon vanished. It reappeared inside the dungeon because its destination rune had been set there earlier. The wagon rolled downhill. It struck a stack of old barrels. The barrels rolled into a forgotten maintenance switch. The switch activated. Deep beneath the field, gears started turning. Alden's eyes widened. What did you do? I put 1 point into luck. The dungeon shook harder. Then the launch gate slammed shut. Everyone stared at me. I stared at my luck stat. I whispered, "That seems unhealthy." The system agreed. Achievement unlocked. Statistically offensive. Luck reduced by 10% in regulated cities. I accepted that. The gate was closed for about 6 seconds. Then something knocked from the other side. 3 slow knocks. A black message appeared only in front of me. It did not use the normal system font. "Hello, Ren." I did not touch anything. Another line appeared. "Thank you for the finger." My stomach dropped. Then a third line appeared. I learned teleportation. The dead finger beneath my feet twitched. Everyone backed away. Black symbols crawled across its scales. The finger dissolved into thousands of squares of dark light. Alden shouted, "Move." The squares rose into the air and formed a doorway, not beneath the field, right in front of me. The World Eater had copied the teleport stone, and this time, instead of trying to push through a sealed launch gate, it was making its own. I had given a level 9,000 adaptive monster a lesson in fast travel. I was beginning to understand why my old character had only reached level 4. I made terrible decisions very efficiently. The doorway made from the severed finger opened wide enough for a person to step through. That was the good news. The bad news was that the person who stepped through was made of teeth. It had 2 arms, 2 legs, and roughly the shape of a knight, but every inch of its black body was covered in tiny jaws. It wore no armor. It carried no weapon. It did not need either. Its nameplate flickered. World Eater Proxy. Level 5,200. Lyra attacked first. Her dragon wings spread. 6 golden spears appeared above her, and all 6 struck the proxy at once. The explosion flattened half the grass in Bramblewick. The proxy lost 3% health. Then every mouth on its body opened. 6 golden spears appeared above it. Lyra went pale. It copied the skill. The proxy launched the spears back at her. Drax jumped in front and blocked with his enormous sword. The first spear cracked his barrier. The second drove him backward. By the 6th, his boots had carved 2 trenches through the ground. Then the proxy's level increased. 5,200 became 5,201. Alden swore. It gained experience from damaging players. That seemed unfair, but considering my situation, I felt I had lost the moral right to complain about unfair experience mechanics. The proxy turned toward me. Every mouth smiled. A message appeared. Pioneer located. I backed up. It copied my wave. I ducked. The air blast passed over my head and ripped the bronze hero statue out of the ground. The statue flew through a bakery wall. Someone inside shouted, "Again?" I had apparently caused local property damage before. The proxy walked toward me. I opened every menu I could think of while retreating. Skills, inventory, territory, friends, guild, settings, help, help. That gave me an idea. I shouted, "Tutorial assistant." A tiny floating fairy appeared beside my head. She had blue hair, a cheerful smile, and the emotional awareness of a tax form. "Welcome, new adventurer. Would you like help learning the basics?" "Yes." "Is Bramblewick a protected starter zone?" "Correct. Hostile player actions are restricted until level 10. I'm level 4000. Congratulations." That was not the question. The proxy lunged. I moved aside. It copied my agility pattern immediately and adjusted. "Can a level 5000 monster attack in the starter zone?" "Monsters may attack according to local spawn rules." "Does that thing have a local spawn rule?" The fairy rotated toward the proxy. Her smile stayed exactly the same. Scanning. The proxy reached for my head. I grabbed the fairy and held her between us. The proxy stopped. The fairy continued smiling. "Unknown entity. No starter zone spawn registration found. What happens to an unregistered hostile entity? Please report it to moderation." "How? Would you like to report this entity?" "Yes." "Please select a category." A list appeared while the proxy stood 1 foot away, apparently confused by the fact that I was hiding behind customer support. "Harassment. Inappropriate name. Botting. Exploiting. Unauthorized advertising." I selected exploiting. "Please describe the issue." "It is a level 5000 pile of teeth from a deleted server that copied teleportation and is eating the tutorial." "Thank you for your report." "Great. What now?" "Average response time is 3 to 5 business days." I nearly threw the fairy. The proxy attacked. I jumped backward and landed beside a group of fresh level 1 players who had been too shocked to log out. One of them was still holding a beginner quest basket. The quest marker above the basket blinked. "Collect 5 sunberries. Reward 20 experience." The proxy turned toward them. I suddenly understood something. It was learning mechanics from us, but it did not understand priorities. It copied anything that looked useful. I grabbed the basket from the new player. "Can I borrow this?" He nodded so fast his helmet slipped over his eyes. I picked a sunberry from a nearby bush. "Quest progress, 1 of 5. The proxy stopped. One of its tiny mouths whispered, "Quest." I picked another berry. The proxy looked at the bush. I picked a third. The proxy walked toward a different bush and picked a berry. Alden stared at me. "What are you doing?" "Teaching it something important." "What?" "Grinding." The proxy picked another berry. Its mouths began whispering faster. "Experience. Reward. Quest. Efficient." It abandoned me completely and started harvesting sunberries at terrifying speed. In 2 seconds it stripped an entire bush, then another, then another. The beginner players watched a level 5000 apocalypse monster speedrun berry collection. I opened the tutorial assistant again. "If a player takes all the sunberries, how long before they respawn?" 30 seconds. "Does the quest have a daily limit?" "No. Beginner quests may be repeated until level 10. There it was, until level 10. The proxy did not have a normal player level flag. It had a monster level. It had copied the quest behavior, but not the eligibility rules. It gathered 5 berries and approached the quest giver, an elderly NPC named Farmer Pell. Farmer Pell smiled. "Back already? Wonderful work, adventurer." The proxy handed him the berries. The system tried to award 20 experience. Then it checked eligibility. Then it noticed the level 5000 monster standing inside a level 1 repeatable quest. The quest script panicked. Eligibility correction applied. Entity level exceeds beginner threshold. Applying beginner scaling. The proxy shrank, not metaphorically. Its body compressed from 7 feet tall to 3 feet. Its level dropped. 5201 became level 9. The entire field went silent. I started laughing so hard I could not breathe. The World Eater had copied quest participation without understanding that beginner quests force-scaled participants for old tutorial compatibility. The proxy looked at its tiny hands. Every mouth screamed. Drax raised his sword. I shouted, "Wait!" He stopped. The proxy glared at me with the rage of a cosmic horror that had just been turned into a preschooler. I picked up a nearby pebble. "Ren," Lyra said slowly. "What are you doing?" "It is level 9. Yes, my rested experience bonus is still active." Alden understood first. He took 3 steps away from me. "That is going to be ridiculous." I flicked the pebble. It hit the proxy in the forehead. Because my strength was absurd, the pebble became a tiny meteor. The proxy disappeared, not defeated dramatically, not cut in half, not burned by holy light. It became a dark smudge on Farmer Pell's fence. The system chimed. Level up. 4311 became 4340, then 48, then 72, then 81. I gained only 70 levels. Everyone stared at me like 70 levels from a pebble was disappointing. I had corrupted their standards in less than 20 minutes. The proxy dropped an item, World Eater Tooth. Category, crafting material. Quality, impossible. I picked it up. The tooth immediately bit my thumb. Ow. It gained 1 experience. I threw it into my inventory. The inventory window shook. The tooth began biting other items. I watched it eat 3 health potions, a broken helmet, and 1 compensation voucher. Then it gained a level. No. I removed it and dropped it on the ground. Greg's ghost floated closer. Your Majesty, I believe the tooth is alive. I noticed. Can I have it? No. I could keep it as a pet. No. It would improve morale. We have a population of 1. My morale is the only morale that matters. I was about to argue when the black doorway collapsed. The World Eater had lost its proxy, but it had gained something more valuable. A system window appeared. Legacy entity has learned quest interaction. Alden looked physically ill. It can use quests now, Lyra said. So quests are not just chores. Some open sealed zones, some change territory ownership, some summon bosses, some grant titles, some trigger world events. Drax swore. I thought of my sunberry basket, so I taught the Apocalypse how to talk to farmers. Alden nodded. That may be the most dangerous thing anyone has done in 19 years. I was beginning to miss the chicken. Then the moderation response arrived. It had not taken 3 business days. The sky split open. A giant white eye appeared above Bramblewick. System moderation avatar deployed. A figure descended from the clouds wearing perfectly smooth white armor. No name, no guild, no visible level. Players immediately backed away. The avatar landed in front of me. Report source identified. That was fast. Critical exploit category confirmed. Good. Beginning containment. Even better. The avatar turned toward the smudge that used to be the proxy. It scanned the area. Then it turned back toward me. Primary exploit source identified. I pointed at myself. No. Abnormal level velocity. Technically yes. Unimport legacy class. Yes, but unbounded rested experience multiplier. That is a feature. Unauthorized hidden territory ownership. I won it legally. Deleted boss follower detected. Greg raised 1 ghostly leg. Citizen. Historical item duplication risk. I have socks. Combat emote exceeds intended damage parameters. I can explain the wave. Containment required. The avatar reached for me. I jumped away. A white cage appeared where I had been standing. Lyra raised her hand. System authority, this player is not responsible for the original intrusion. Appeal may be filed after containment. How long does appeal review take? 30 to 90 days. I pointed at the moderation avatar. See? That is the real boss. Drax laughed. The avatar teleported behind me. It grabbed my shoulder. A message appeared. Account suspension pending. I panicked. Not because I cared about the game yesterday. Yesterday I had barely remembered it existed. But today I owned a hole, had a ghost employee, and a giant monster knew my name. I could not get banned now. That would be embarrassing. So I did the only thing I could think of. I opened my unread system mail. There were more than 9,000 messages. The oldest one was dated 20 years ago. Welcome, Pioneer. Thank you for joining Eternal Dominion during our launch celebration. As an original purchaser, your account includes lifetime access to all base game services under the Pioneer Assurance Program. Lifetime access. I smiled. The moderation avatar tightened its grip. Suspension initiating. I accepted the old Pioneer Assurance reward. A bronze badge appeared beside my name. Pioneer Assurance Permanent Service Entitlement. Suspension failed. The avatar froze. Account entitlement conflict. I patted its arm. This is why you read old emails. It tried again. Suspension failed. It tried to teleport me to containment. Teleport failed. Reason. Player owns territory not recognized by current jurisdiction table. Greg's eyes lit up. Our low property tax has saved you. I knew the hole was a good investment. The avatar released me and opened a different protocol. Escalating. The sky darkened. Lyra looked upward. What does that mean? Alden answered, nothing good. Another moderation avatar descended. Then another. Then 10. Then 50. They formed a circle around me. I looked at my inventory. No weapon. No teleport stone. 1 biting tooth. Ancient bread. Janitor's broom. 12 pioneer tokens. I had ignored the pioneer tokens because I assumed they were cosmetic currency. I selected 1 pioneer token. Redeem at any original launch vendor for 1 launch era service. Original launch vendor. I turned toward Farmer Pell. He had existed on day 1. I ran to him while 50 moderation avatars followed. Farmer Pell, were you here at launch? He smiled. Why? I have been growing sunberries for as long as I can remember. Do you accept pioneer tokens? His eyes flashed gold. A hidden shop opened. The item list was insane. Restore deleted hairstyle, 1 token. Recover old quest state, 1 token. Reissue launch pet, 2 tokens. Reset character position, 1 token. Request Game Master Assistance, 5 tokens. I stopped. Request Game Master Assistance. That sounded very useful. I spent 5 tokens. The moderation avatars all froze. The sky went silent. Then a chair appeared. Just a wooden chair. It materialized beside Farmer Pell. A tired-looking man in plain gray robes appeared sitting on it, holding a mug. His nameplate said only one thing: Developer Echo. He looked around Bramblewick. He saw the 50 moderation avatars. He saw Lyra, Drax, Alden, Captain Orla, Greg's ghost, the dead giant finger crater, the broken statue, the destroyed bakery, and me holding a broom. He took a long drink from his mug. Then he looked directly at me. You? Me? I remember your account. That was not what I expected. You do? He pointed at my username. You filed a bug report on launch day. I searched my memory. Then I remembered. The chicken? The chicken. 20 years ago, after losing to that level 2 chicken, I had angrily reported that its peck attack ignored fence collision. Developer Echo rubbed his eyes. We fixed that bug because of you. I looked at the moderation army. Great. Can you fix this? He scanned my account. His face became more tired with every second. Rested bonus at 8 million%. 8.4 million. Legacy progression rules. Yes. Unfinished hero. Yes. Disaster tourist. That one is new. Deleted territory ownership. I have a crown. World Eater contact. Unfortunately. Pioneer assurance. Very useful. He stared at me in silence. Then he did something none of us expected. He laughed. Not a little laugh. He laughed until he had to put down the mug. The 50 moderation avatars stood perfectly still around us, while one exhausted developer laughed at the human error report standing in front of him. Finally, he wiped his eyes. I told them not to migrate the Pioneer flags automatically. Who is them? People who retired 15 years ago. Can you remove the rested bonus? Yes. My heart dropped. Then he added, probably. That was worse. Will you? He looked toward the sealed dungeon. No. Everyone spoke at once. Lyra said, why not? Drax said, are you insane? Alden said nothing, which worried me more. Developer Echo stood from the chair. Because the World Eater has already learned modern teleportation and quest interaction, we cannot isolate it the same way again. The old containment methods will not work. He pointed at me. And Ren is the only active account still running enough original progression code to interact with the shard without immediate conversion. I did not like where this was going. You want me to go inside? Yes. I am wearing socks from a dungeon chest. They are very old socks. That does not make me feel better. Developer Echo waved his hand. The moderation avatars disappeared. My suspension warning vanished. Then a new quest appeared. Legacy Emergency Quest. Enter the first shard. Objective: find the core seal. Objective: determine how the World Eater escaped containment. Objective: do not teach it anything else. Reward: unknown. Penalty for failure: complicated. I pointed at the third objective. That feels personal. It is. Alden stepped forward. I'm going back. Developer Echo looked at him. Your account barely survived extraction. I know the shard. He does not. Greg's ghost raised a leg again. I will accompany His Majesty. I looked at him. You are level 50, formerly level 100 in my true form. You got crushed by a statue. A tactical architectural disadvantage. Lyra said, Astral Crown will send a raid force. Developer Echo shook his head. Modern accounts cannot enter safely. The conversion boundary will strip or corrupt most current systems. Drax smiled at Lyra. So the ancient noob gets to save the server. I looked at my level. 4,381. Ancient noob felt inaccurate. Then I looked at my equipment. Ancient noob felt completely accurate. Developer Echo handed me a small gray key. This can reopen the launch gate once. What happens after that? You find another way home. Excellent planning. Welcome to Legacy Maintenance. I accepted the quest. The sealed gate beneath Bramblewick began to glow again. And somewhere far beyond it, on a world the game had tried to bury for 19 years, something sent me another private message. Bring more quests. I closed the message. Then another appeared, and a chicken. I stared at the words. Alden asked, what? I looked toward the gate. Apparently the apocalypse has a sense of humor. Before entering the first shard, I had one reasonable thought. Maybe I should get a real weapon. Lyra agreed so strongly that she personally dragged me to Astral Crown's mobile armory. The guild had parked an entire floating warehouse over Bramblewick. It was shaped like a golden whale and carried enough weapons to invade a small moon. The quartermaster took one look at my equipment and became offended on a spiritual level. You are level 4,381. Yes, you have 7 defense on your chest piece. I like the pockets. It does not have pockets. That explains why I keep losing things. He gave me a mythic sword called Dawn Severance. It had a glowing blade, 3 transformation modes, dragon slaying damage, and a minimum level requirement of 3000. The moment I equipped it, my Disaster Tourist passive deactivated. Enemies will no longer underestimate you. My adaptive danger bonus dropped by 40%. I unequipped the sword. The quartermaster looked betrayed. What is wrong with it? It makes me look competent. That is the point. Apparently that hurts my build. He stared at my beginner shirt again. I could see him reconsidering his entire profession. Modern gear also had another problem. Developer Echo warned that the first shard ran on rules too old to understand most current item systems. A modern sword with 12 enchantment layers might enter the shard as a decorative stick, or worse, as 12 separate swords occupying the same physical space. Alden had seen a modern test team try that once. They were still removing swords from the ceiling, so I opened my ancient compensation mail instead. That became a disaster immediately. 20 years of updates meant my account had received compensation for everything. Server outage apology package, class balance apology package, dragon event rollback package, holiday snowstorm bug package, accidental sheep duplication package, economy emergency package, economy emergency package 2, economy emergency package 3. We are sorry about economy emergency package 3 package. I opened them one after another. Coins poured onto the ground. Old potions stacked around my feet. A festive hat appeared. Then fireworks. Then a pet egg. Then another pet egg. Then 79 identical apology chickens. I froze. The chickens surrounded me. One pecked my boot. My character automatically resisted fear. Beginner courage increased. The 20-year-old skill detected that I had resisted the same creature family responsible for its original activation. Unfinished growth triggered. Beginner courage evolved. Courage. Then evolved again. Unreasonable confidence. Then again. Audacity. Passive effect. When facing an enemy at least twice your level, fear effects are converted into temporary attack speed. Passive effect. When facing an enemy at least 10 times your level, fear effects are converted into laughter. I looked at the chickens. Thank you. One pecked me again. I did not react. Growth detected. Chicken trauma resolved. Permanent mental resistance increased by 100. 20 years of personal development had finally paid off inside a video game. Then I opened a compensation package from the game's first month. It contained an item no modern player had ever seen. Emergency balance hammer. Type: temporary developer issued weapon. Damage: your level divided by 10. Durability: 5. Special effect: on hit, normalize one abnormal target value toward intended launch range. Developer Echo nearly spilled his mug. Where did you get that? My mail. That item was recalled. I have been offline. Yes, I am painfully aware. The hammer looked pathetic. It was wooden, short, and had the word balance burned into the side. I loved it instantly. Alden looked at the special effect and went quiet. Could that normalize the World Eater? Developer Echo shook his head. Not fully. Its current values are too deeply modified. But if Ren reaches a vulnerable process, maybe. How many hits? 5. Then the hammer breaks. I put it in my inventory like it was a nuclear weapon. We were ready. By ready, I mean Alden had a repaired sword, Greg had no body, and I had a broom, a balance hammer, 7 pioneer tokens, ancient bread, a biting tooth, dozens of expired potions, and 79 apology chickens following me because I accidentally claimed them as bound pets. Lyra watched the flock crowd around the dungeon entrance. You are not taking the chickens. I don't know how to dismiss them. You have 79 pet slots? Pioneer accounts did not have pet slot limits. Developer Echo covered his face with one hand. Drax was laughing so hard he had sat down. We entered the dungeon. The launch gate opened. Black light filled the doorway. Alden stepped through first. Greg floated after him. I followed. All 79 chickens came too. The world on the other side looked familiar for half a second. Then I realized nothing made sense. The sky was green. Mountains floated upside down. A river ran vertically into the clouds. Broken pieces of old towns drifted through the air like islands. Giant tree roots wrapped around abandoned towers. In the distance, a castle was walking on hundreds of stone legs. The first shard had not been frozen. It had been surviving. Alden's expression changed the moment he stepped onto the black grass. This is new. You were here 6 years and this is new? The mountains used to be on the ground. That feels like an important change. Our interfaces simplified immediately. Modern social tabs disappeared. Guild functions vanished. My reputation panel became a blank square. My mount license transformed into a line of unreadable symbols. Half my titles stopped working. My rested experience bonus did not. 8,397,000%. I had consumed almost nothing. That was when I realized the bonus was not a timer that vanished after one kill. It was a giant accumulated pool being spent in tiny pieces. 20 years of offline time had become a reservoir so absurd that my first 1,000 level ups barely scratched it. Alden saw the number and actually stopped walking. How much do you have left? Nearly all of it. He looked toward the horizon. Then do not kill anything important until we know what it gives. A chicken pecked a bug. The bug died. The chicken leveled up. I did not. Good. Then all 79 chickens attacked the grass. The grass attacked back. Apparently the black blades were level 40 carnivorous plants. The field erupted. Chickens flew everywhere. Greg shouted, "Protect the royal poultry." I had never issued that title. Alden cut down 3 attacking grass clumps. I kicked another. My kick created a trench 500 feet long because many of my modern movement limiters had disappeared inside the legacy shard. The carnivorous grass died. Level up. My level increased from 4,381 to 4,512. Alden turned slowly. I said, "Do not kill anything important." It was grass. Here grass can become important. He was right. The ground beneath the dead plants started glowing. A hidden field boss appeared. Mother Lawn, level 1,200. It rose from the earth as a 30-foot woman made entirely of grass, flowers, roots, and pure anger. She looked at the dead plants, then at me, then at the chickens. "You have trampled my children." I pointed at one chicken still fighting a shrub. In my defense, they started it. Mother Lawn screamed and created a forest around us. Trees erupted from the ground. Roots formed walls. Vines wrapped around my arms and legs. Alden shouted, "Do not use fire." I wasn't planning to. Good. Fire makes her stronger. One apology chicken breathed fire. I stared at it. The chicken looked surprised too. Apparently it had gained a skill from the holiday package. Mother Lawn absorbed the flame. Her level jumped from 1,200 to 1,600. Alden looked at me. I pointed at the chicken. "That one is not my fault." Mother Lawn grew taller. More chickens breathed fire. "Why do they all do that?" I shouted. "They copied the first chicken." Greg shouted back. "Since when do chickens copy skills? They are apology pets. Their coding is questionable." Mother Lawn reached level 2,000. We were powering up a plant god with customer compensation poultry. I opened my pet commands. The interface had only 3 buttons. Follow, stay, celebrate. I pressed stay. The chickens ignored me. Legacy pet obedience check failed. Pioneer pets use affection-based commands. Of course they did. How do I raise affection? Greg yelled, "Feed them." I had 1 food item. Ancient bread. Museum value 48,000 gold. I pulled it out. Every chicken stopped breathing fire. 79 heads turned toward me. Mother Lawn raised both arms, preparing to crush us. I threw the bread. The flock moved as one. 79 chickens launched after it. The loaf flew past Mother Lawn's face. The chickens hit her like a feathery avalanche. She stumbled. The bread bounced off a tree. The chickens changed direction. They swarmed across her shoulder. The bread bounced again. The flock crossed her head. Mother Lawn screamed as 79 fire-breathing apology chickens chased a 20-year-old loaf across her body. I ran toward her legs and used my broom to sweep away the roots holding Alden. The broom gained skill experience. Basic cleaning learned. I swept again. The roots snapped. Basic cleaning evolved. Combat cleaning. I swept across Mother Lawn's ankle. The skill detected plant debris. Damage increased by 300% against unwanted organic matter. Mother Lawn counted as unwanted organic matter. The broom hit her ankle. Her health dropped 20%. I stared at the broom. Alden stared at the broom. Greg shouted, "The royal janitorial technique." I hit her again. Mother Lawn fell to one knee. The ancient bread bounced off her forehead. The chickens followed. She lost another 10% health to poultry impact. Then one chicken swallowed the bread whole. The flock stopped. The guilty chicken glowed. Ancient nourishment consumed. Pet evolution available. It grew. The chicken became 6 feet tall. Its wings turned bronze. Its eyes burned gold. Its name changed. Apology Chicken became Regret Rooster. Level 400. The Regret Rooster looked at Mother Lawn. Mother Lawn looked at the Regret Rooster. The rooster inhaled. Alden shouted, "No fire." It did not breathe fire. It apologized. "I am sorry." The voice came out like thunder. A shockwave crossed the forest. Mother Lawn's rage effect disappeared. Her level dropped from 2,000 back to 1,200. Her fire absorption stacks reset. I saw my chance. I used combat cleaning. One sweep. The broom struck her chest. Mother lawn exploded into leaves. The rested bonus triggered. 4,500 became 4,800. 5,000. 5,400. 5,800. 6,109. I had just gained over 1,500 levels by cleaning a lawn. The system gave me an achievement. Excessive landscaping. Combat cleaning evolved again. Battlefield sanitation. Effect. Remove hazards, debris, weak summons, low-tier curses, and stains from a targeted area. I read the list twice. Stains? Alden looked at the shattered forest. Do not underestimate stains here. Mother lawn dropped a seed. I picked it up. Territory seed. Plant in owned land to expand fertile area. Greg floated closer. Your Majesty, our kingdom can have agriculture. We live underground. Mushroom agriculture. That is already mushrooms. Advanced mushrooms. I gave him the seed. His ghost could not hold it. It fell through his hands 3 times. We moved on. The regret rooster followed beside me like a bodyguard. The other 78 chickens followed him. My pet interface updated and declared him flock commander. Alden stared at the giant rooster. You have been here 20 minutes and already changed an extinct pet line. Is that bad? At this point, I am afraid to answer. We walked through the broken landscape toward the old capital, where Alden believed the core seal was hidden beneath the first raid citadel. Along the way, he explained what had happened after isolation. At first, the trapped players had tried to fight the World Eater. Hundreds remained on the shard after the Black Reset. Some were stuck like Alden. Others deliberately stayed because they thought the event was temporary. It was not. The World Eater grew stronger. Players formed safe cities, then the creature learned resurrection points. So they moved. It learned fast travel routes. They disabled them. It learned crafting. They stopped leaving materials behind. It learned Guild War declarations. That sentence concerned me. What did it do with Guild Wars? It created a guild of monsters? Of itself. How? It generated 4 alternate identities. I stopped walking. The apocalypse made alts? Yes. What was the guild called? Alden looked ashamed to answer. Hungry. I laughed for a full minute. Then a horn sounded across the valley. Alden stopped laughing. That is them. Hungry? No. Survivors. Figures appeared on the ridge above us. Dozens of players in mismatched ancient armor aimed bows, staffs, and swords in our direction. Their levels ranged from 300 to 900. None had modern class symbols. Their nameplates were scarred by static. At the center stood a woman in red plate armor, level 1044. Name, Mira Ashfall. Alden whispered, "Oh no." Mira jumped from the ridge and landed in front of us. She saw Alden. Her expression went from shock to fury. Then she punched him in the face. Alden flew 20 feet. I looked at Greg. Greg looked at me. The regret rooster made a concerned noise. Mira grabbed Alden by the collar. You left. I escaped. You left to get help. You were gone 3 months. Alden blinked. 3 months? For us. He had experienced 6 years. Time across the shard was getting worse. Mira looked at me. Who is the scarecrow? I checked myself. Beginner shirt. Old pants. Ancient socks. Broom. Giant rooster. Fair description. I'm Ren. Her eyes moved to my level. 6,109. She slowly released Alden, then looked at my equipment again. No. Yes, no, I get that a lot. Every survivor on the ridge began shouting at once. They thought my level display was corrupted. Mira demanded a demonstration. I told her that was probably unsafe. She pointed toward a mountain. Hit that. I waved. Half the mountain disappeared. Not all of it. Just a perfect hand-shaped section. The survivors became silent. Far away, something roared from beneath the mountain. Alden closed his eyes. Mira slowly turned to me. What was under that? I asked. A sleeping raid boss. Of course it was. The mountain erupted. A dragon made of crystal burst into the sky. Level 3,500. Its name was Mortgage. I read it twice. Mira shouted, "That is not its original name." Alden drew his sword. The World Eater renamed bosses after learning player housing systems. The crystal dragon spread its wings. A system message appeared. Mortgage demands payment. Territory owners must pay 12% of current land value or face foreclosure. Greg screamed louder than anyone, "R0 property tax." The dragon locked onto me. I owned a kingdom. I had become a homeowner for less than an hour, and already a dragon was trying to refinance my hole. Mortgage circled above us while a giant contract appeared in front of my face. Territory valuation required. I opened my territory panel. Forgotten tutorial depths. Official modern valuation. Unavailable. Original valuation, 0 gold. Current tax classification, deleted. Population, 1. Primary export, mushrooms. Greg had apparently filled that last part in himself. The dragon roared. Pay 12% or surrender your territory. 12% of 0 was 0. I pressed pay. Payment submitted. 0 gold. Mortgage froze in midair. The contract flickered. Payment accepted. Foreclosure cancelled. A green checkmark appeared over the dragon's head. Then its entire personality changed. It landed gently, folded its crystal wings, and produced a tiny pair of spectacles. Thank you for your timely payment. Everyone stared. Mortgage lowered its enormous head toward me. Would you like to refinance? No. Rates are historically competitive. No. You may qualify for an expansion loan. Greg floated between us. What terms? Greg, Your Majesty, we must think about infrastructure. We have one citizen, which is why I need housing. You are a ghost. A dignified ghost requires dignified housing. Mortgage opened another contract. Mira looked like she wanted to set reality on fire. This thing killed 2 raid groups last month. I pointed at the green checkmark. Did they try paying 0? Our territories are not worthless. Sounds expensive. Mortgage suddenly turned toward Mira. Outstanding balance detected. Mira's face went pale. Oh, come on. The dragon inhaled crystal fire. Alden shouted for everyone to scatter. Mira raised a barrier. I opened my new battlefield sanitation skill. It could remove low-tier curses, hazards, debris, weak summons, and stains. Mortgage's contract icon was a curse, probably not low-tier, but the red overdue stamp on Mira's contract looked suspiciously like a stain. I targeted the stamp. Battlefield sanitation activated. My broom glowed. I swept the air. The overdue stamp vanished. Mortgage stopped breathing fire. Account status updated. Payment current. Mira stared at me. I stared at the broom. Apparently I can clean debt. Every survivor started shouting at once. Half of them had territory loans. A line formed. I spent the next 3 minutes sweeping late fees, penalties, property curses, 1 lien, and something called aggressive variable interest off 37 people. Battlefield sanitation gained experience so fast it evolved. Conceptual cleaning. Effect. Remove minor unwanted conditions if the system categorizes them as mess, clutter, contamination, residue, or administrative debris. I had become a level 6000 janitor of bureaucracy. Mortgage watched me erase its entire business model. Its crystal eyes turned red. Unauthorized debt removal detected. I pointed the broom at it. You started this. Financial hostility confirmed. Its level jumped from 3,500 to 4,800. The glasses vanished. Its wings unfolded. It transformed into a larger form covered in chains. Mortgage. Predatory rate form. Alden sighed. There it is. The dragon fired a beam of glowing numbers. I dodged. The beam hit a stone tower behind me. The tower immediately gained a monthly payment. I did not know how architecture could owe money, but the first shard had stopped respecting questions. Mira attacked from the left. Alden took the right. The survivors fired from the ridge. The regret rooster led 78 chickens into the air like a feathery cavalry unit. Mortgage was still too durable. Every time we damaged it, a contract appeared and converted part of the damage into deferred health. I hit it with Emperor's Casual Acknowledgement. It lost 8% health, then created an 8% health repayment plan over 30 years. Its health returned. That is disgusting, I said. Greg floated beside me. Predatory lending. How do we kill a loan? Pay it off? I have money. No, Your Majesty. It's loan. I looked at the dragon's status effects. Every time it restored health, it created a debt entry owed to itself. Damage deferred, 8%. Damage deferred, 4%. Damage deferred, 12%. It was borrowing health from its future health bar. That meant the more we attacked it, the more debt it created. I smiled. Mira, keep hitting it. She looked at me like that was the first sensible thing I had said. Everyone attacked. Mortgage's health dropped and restored. Dropped and restored. Again. The debt list became enormous. 200% deferred damage. 500%. 900%. Mortgage laughed. You cannot defeat compound protection. I waited until the debt reached 1,200%. Then I used conceptual cleaning. Not on the debt. On the word deferred. The skill hesitated. System classifications appeared. Deferred damage tagged as pending combat residue. Pending combat residue qualifies as clutter. I swept. Every deferred marker vanished. Without the deferment tags, the system processed all 1,200% damage immediately. Mortgage's health bar went from full to empty so fast it passed 0 and displayed negative 11 bars for half a second. The dragon made one tiny confused sound, then exploded into a rain of crystal coins. My rested bonus triggered. Level 6,109 became 6,500, then 7,000, 7,800, 8,400, 9,200. When the light finally stopped, I was level 9,777. Alden sat down on a rock. Mira dropped her sword. Greg shouted, "We are debt-free." The regret rooster crowed triumphantly. I looked at my level. I was now only 222 levels below the World Eater's displayed cap. That was less comforting than it sounded. Alden had warned me that level 9,999 was not necessarily its real strength. That was just the largest number the old interface could show. My own level immediately hit the same problem. A warning appeared. Legacy display limit approaching. Additional progression may require prestige compression. I closed it. I had learned that opening system warnings only created more systems. Mortgage dropped a crystal deed. Territory claim, Sky Mortgage Nest. Greg wanted it. I said no. He explained that a kingdom with vertical territory would improve prestige. I still said no. He began preparing a formal proposal. I walked away before he could present it. Mira led us to the survivor settlement, which was hidden inside the shell of an enormous dead turtle. The turtle was the size of a city. Houses had been built between its ribs. Lanterns hung from the curved bones. Thousands of people lived there, though not all were players. Some were old NPCs who had continued living after the shard was isolated. That was the first moment the first shard stopped feeling like a broken game and started feeling like something stranger. Children ran through the streets. They were NPC children, but Alden knew some of their parents. Those parents had not existed when the server was sealed. The old simulation had kept going. People had married. Families had grown. Entire villages had formed. Quests had changed without developers writing them. I watched a little girl chase one of my apology chickens and felt an uncomfortable thought. If the World Eater consumed this shard, it was not just deleting old data. It was destroying a world that had spent 19 years learning how to live without us. Then the little girl caught the chicken. The chicken breathed fire. She punched it. The chicken apologized. The girl laughed. The moment became less philosophical. Mira took us to the Survivor Council. 6 people sat around a stone table. Their combined expressions suggested they had not enjoyed anything since the invention of patch notes. Alden told them the modern server still existed. They did not celebrate. One old mage asked, "Can we leave?" Developer Echo's key could open the gate only once. We had already used it. Alden did not have an answer. I hated that. So I checked my inventory. 7 Pioneer tokens remained. One launch service I had seen in Farmer Pell's old shop was reset character position. Another had been recover old quest state. If original vendors existed here, maybe they had different services. I asked the council for the oldest merchant still alive. They took me to a man named Cobb. Cobb was an NPC who sold ropes. Only ropes. He had sold ropes on launch day, and apparently 20 years had not shaken his dedication to rope. I showed him a Pioneer token. His eyes flashed gold. A hidden menu opened. Restore deleted rope color. Reissue promotional rope. Recover lost rope. Rope consultation. I stared at the list. Do you have anything that is not rope? Cobb looked offended. Why would I? I selected more options. At the bottom was an old launch service. Emergency unstuck relocation. Move all nearby party members to the nearest valid home checkpoint. Cost 7 Pioneer tokens. I stopped breathing. All nearby party members. Alden leaned over my shoulder. That could get us out. Us. He understood. Not the thousands of people in the settlement. Only a party. The Survivor Council wanted me to use it immediately. Get back to the modern server. Bring help. Find a way to open a mass gate. Mira disagreed. The core seal is failing now. We may not have time. Alden asked how long. The oldest council mage projected a map. Black lines covered the shard like veins. The Eater is moving toward the first citadel. If it reaches the core seal, it will gain access to the root quest registry. I remembered what Alden said about quests controlling world events. What happens if it gets the registry? It can complete any quest trigger on the shard. That sounds bad. It can also create quests. That sounds worse. Mira nodded. If it learns quest creation, it can reward its own fragments for serving it. Experience, items, territory, titles. I imagined one World Eater creating 10,000 tiny copies, then giving each copy a quest called Stand Here, and rewarding them with levels. We needed to move. The first citadel was 200 miles away. Modern teleportation did not work. Mira had mounts, but the fastest route took 2 days because the sky was controlled by roaming raid bosses. I looked at my agility stat. I had barely spent any points since level 4000. I still had tens of thousands available. I put 10,000 into agility. The interface flashed. Local movement simulation warning. I added 5,000 more. Please consider server stability. I added 1. The ground cracked under my foot. Mira backed away. What are you doing? Testing transportation. I asked everyone traveling with me to hold on to something. Alden grabbed my shoulder. Greg possessed my crown so he would not blow away. Mira refused until I explained the alternative was 2 days of travel. The regret rooster climbed onto my back. The 78 chickens chickens gathered around my feet. I realized I could not carry all of them. Then the pet interface offered a flock storage mode. I activated it. 78 chickens collapsed into one extremely angry egg. I put the egg in my inventory. The world eater tooth bit it. The egg bit back. I closed the inventory and decided that problem belonged to future Ren. I crouched. Mira said, "How fast are you planning to run?" "I don't know." That is not reassuring. I pushed off. The city vanished behind us. The first second felt like being fired from a cannon. The second felt like the cannon had been fired from another cannon. The landscape became a smear. We crossed a forest before I could blink. We ran up the side of a cliff because gravity did not have time to stop us. I accidentally crossed a lake on the surface tension of the water. Alden screamed directions into my ear. Mira screamed something else. Greg screamed because everyone else was screaming. The regret rooster screamed in chicken. A giant flying serpent appeared ahead. Level 2000. I tried to dodge. At my speed, dodging meant changing countries. I moved 3 degrees left. We missed the serpent. My wake hit it. The serpent exploded. Level up. I gained 87 levels while running. Alden saw the notification. "Stop killing things with transportation." "I am trying." A stone giant appeared. I jumped. The wind pressure removed its head. Another 30 levels. A swarm of armored bats crossed our path. I ducked. The regret rooster hit them. He gained 40 levels. Then he evolved another bronze feather. We reached the first citadel in 43 seconds. I stopped. Alden, Mira, Greg, and the rooster continued moving without me. They flew forward, crossed the ruined courtyard, smashed through an old wooden door, and disappeared into a fountain. I stood there alone. "Sorry." Mira climbed out of the fountain with murder in her eyes. That was not running. It was efficient. That was attempted weather. Alden crawled out next. We saved 2 days. Mira pointed at the trail of collapsing trees behind us. We created a road. Greg floated out of the water. Infrastructure. The first citadel towered above us. It was the oldest raid fortress in Eternal Dominion. Huge stone walls formed a ring around a central black tower. I vaguely remembered screenshots from the original game box. Now the walls were covered in moving black veins. The World Eater had already arrived. At the gate, hundreds of monsters stood in neat lines. Not attacking, waiting. A quest giver stood in front of them. An old knight NPC held a yellow exclamation mark above his head. One World Eater fragment stepped forward. The knight said, "Brave adventurer, rats have infested the cellar. Defeat 10 rats and return to me." The fragment bowed, then ran into the cellar. Another fragment stepped forward. Same quest. Another. Same quest. Alden looked horrified. "It is farming repeatables." There were thousands of fragments. Each one was completing tiny quests. Each one returned, received experience, leveled, and then merged back into a larger mass near the citadel wall. The World Eater had discovered the oldest strategy in gaming. It was grinding, and judging by how fast that black mass was growing, it had no intention of stopping. Watching an apocalypse monster grind rats was insulting in a way I could not explain. Not because it was evil, because it was efficient. Each fragment entered the cellar, killed 10 rats, returned, collected 20 experience, and merged with the main body. The reward was tiny, but the World Eater had thousands of fragments working at the same time. It had invented a factory made of side quests. Mira drew her sword. "We destroy the fragments." Alden shook his head. "Every fragment we kill teaches the main body more about our attacks. Then kill the quest giver." I looked at the old knight. His name was Sir Borton. Level 15. Friendly NPC. Protected quest entity. Killing him would probably give me levels, but it would also make me the kind of person who murdered an old man because his basement had rats. There had to be a better way. I walked up to Sir Borton. One World Eater fragment hissed at me. I ignored it. Sir Borton smiled exactly like an NPC who had repeated the same sentence 8 million times. "Brave adventurer, rats have infested the cellar. Defeat 10 rats and return to me." I accepted. Alden grabbed my arm. "Ren, I know. You are teaching it by participating. It already knows this quest. You are level 9,800 and something. You do not need 20 experience. I'm not here for the experience." I opened the quest details. Old quests were much less polished than modern ones. They had strange debug lines still visible beneath the description. Rat population target 10. Cellar respawn pool infinite while infestation flag true. Infestation flag removed by hidden condition. That was what I wanted. I searched the cellar. The World Eater fragments were killing rats so fast that the floor looked like a black storm. Every rat respawned seconds later. I grabbed one rat by the tail. It squeaked. Level 2. I did not kill it. I carried carried it upstairs. Sir Borton frowned. You must defeat 10 rats. I know. I carried out another, then another. Mira stared at me. Why are you stealing rats? Testing language. Alden understood. The quest says defeat, not kill. Exactly. I tied 10 rats together using rope I bought from Cobb before leaving the settlement. The rats formed an angry squeaking circle. I placed them in front of Sir Borton. Do you surrender? I asked. The rats attacked my shoes. My defense reduced their damage to 0. I leaned closer. Think carefully. One rat tried to climb my sock. The regret rooster glared at them. All 10 rats froze. The rooster was level 440 and 6 feet tall. His eyes were burning gold. He had eaten ancient bread. He looked like judgment with feathers. The rats stopped biting me. One rolled onto its back. The others followed. The quest updated. Rats defeated. 10 of 10. I laughed. Sir Borton handed me 20 experience. With my rested bonus, 20 experience should have been ridiculous. It was. I gained 19 levels from not killing rats. My level reached 9,913. Then a hidden message appeared. Merciful Exterminator. Complete the rat infestation quest without killing any rats. Hidden condition fulfilled. Infestation flag removed. Every rat in the cellar vanished. The respawn pool shut down. The World Eater fragments stopped moving. Thousands of black heads turned toward me at once. I waved. The main mass screamed. A private message appeared. Unfair. I typed back before thinking. Skill issue. Alden saw it. Did you just insult the World Eater? It insulted my methods first. You are arguing with an extinction event. It started grinding beginner quests. The fragments rushed us. Mira raised her sword. I held up the broom. Do not attack them yet. They are charging. I noticed. I targeted the ground. Conceptual cleaning. The cellar rats were gone, but the quest line had left hundreds of abandoned rat tails, broken crates, spilled grain, and black residue from the World Eater fragments. All of it counted as clutter. I swept. The courtyard became spotless. The skill expanded past the floor. It cleaned the walls. Then the old quest boards. Then the temporary fragment markings. Then something surprising. The World Eater fragments themselves flickered. System classification conflict. Unregistered temporary quest participants detected as residual entities. Residual entities qualify as cleanup targets. I grinned. No. Alden said. Yes. I swept again. 300 World Eater fragments vanished like dust. The main mass recoiled. My skill had not technically killed them, it had cleaned them. No experience appeared. That meant the World Eater received no useful combat feedback about how they died. Mira stared at the broom. I want one. It was in a deleted dungeon. Of course it was. The remaining fragments pulled back. Then the main World Eater mass changed strategy. A black arm formed from the pile and reached towards Sir Borton. Alden shouted, "It is going to force another quest." The arm touched the old knight. Dark light spread through him. Sir Borton's friendly yellow quest marker turned red. New world quest created. Defend the Cellar Lord. Objective: defeat Ren Veyron. Reward: 5 million experience. Mira slowly turned toward me. You said it could not create quests yet. I did not say that. The council said it would learn at the registry. Alden's face was pale. It has started learning early. Every World Eater fragment accepted the quest. So did every hostile creature within 50 miles. We knew because the horizon filled with red markers. A stone giant in the distance turned around. Flying serpents changed direction. The mountain dragon I had accidentally awakened roared. 3,000 undead soldiers emerged from a ruined battlefield. Even a tiny crab beside a pond received the quest and began walking toward me with tremendous confidence. I looked at the reward. 5 million experience. The World Eater was using me as bait to train the entire shard. That is clever, I admitted. Mira looked at me. Do not compliment it. It is still clever. Alden pointed at the Citadel gate. We reach the registry before the horde reaches us. The gate was sealed by 4 raid locks. Each lock required completion of a different quest chain. The first involved collecting 12 knight emblems. The second required defeating 4 tower guardians. The third needed a royal password from an NPC in a village 30 miles away. The fourth simply said, "Feed Bernard." I stared at it. Who is Bernard? Alden looked around. A giant stone frog sat beside the gate. Bernard. Level 1. I loved old games. Mira and Alden took the tower guardians. I handled the emblems and Bernard. The knight emblems were supposed to drop from elite undead around the Citadel. Drop chance 5%. Normally, that meant killing hundreds. I had over 2,000 luck even after city regulation. and we were not in a regulated city. I killed one undead knight with a broom tap. It dropped 12 emblems. Then it dropped a sword, 2 helmets, a rare ring, a mount certificate, a cooking recipe, an entire decorative chandelier, and something called Duke Petter's missing left glove. My luck stat had turned the corpse into a yard sale. Level up. I hit the old display cap, 9,999. Then the number refused to move. Experience continued entering me. The interface flashed. Legacy maximum reached. Prestige compression required. I had no time. The horde was coming. So I closed the window and picked up the emblems. The lock opened. Bernard required food. I had no bread anymore. I opened my compensation potions. Healing potion, mana potion, stamina potion, pumpkin soup from a harvest festival apology. I gave Bernard the soup. He sniffed it, then turned away. Bernard is picky, Greg said. How do you know? I recognize his breed. You are a centipede, former centipede. Do not stereotype my zoological knowledge. The approaching horde was visible now. Thousands of red names moved across the plain. I tried a health potion. Bernard refused. Mana potion. Refused. A festive candy cane. Refused. World Eater tooth. The tooth bit Bernard. Bernard ate it. I froze. My inventory became very peaceful. Bernard chewed twice. Then his eyes turned black. Alden shouted from the tower. What did you feed him? Something problematic. Bernard swallowed. The World Eater tooth vanished. Bernard gained 1 level, then 10, then 50, then 100. His tiny stone body expanded until he was the size of a wagon. The lock activated. Bernard fed. Gate seal 3 opened. Greg floated around the giant frog. Excellent. No. Not excellent. Bernard looked at me. His tongue shot out. I dodged. The tongue struck the red quest marker above my head. The marker vanished. Bernard swallowed it. The world quest disappeared from my interface. I stared. Bernard could eat system markers. The World Eater residue inside him had merged with a launch-era decorative frog that was apparently allowed to consume anything tagged as food. I pointed at the approaching horde. Bernard. The frog looked at me. Are those quest markers food? Bernard croaked. The horde reached the outer field. Thousands of red quest icons floated above their heads. I slapped Bernard's side. Dinner. The giant frog inhaled. Every red quest marker ripped free from the approaching monsters. They flew through the air like a storm of glowing paper. Bernard opened his mouth. He swallowed all of them. The horde stopped. The stone giant looked around in confusion. The undead army lost its objective and returned to its battlefield. The flying serpents turned away. The tiny crab stopped, reconsidered its life, and walked back toward the pond. The World Eater's 5 million experience quest vanished. Mira and Alden jumped down from the tower after defeating the final guardians. Mira looked at Bernard, now glowing red from eating thousands of quest markers. What happened? Bernard was hungry. She did not ask another question. The 4th seal still required the royal password. We did not have 30 minutes to run to the village and ask an NPC king. I inspected the lock. It was an ancient voice recognition script. Password required. Hint, the king's favorite thing. Alden remembered the quest. The answer is hidden through a chain of 7 conversations. Do you remember the answer? No. Greg raised a leg. Money. I tried it. Wrong. Mira said, power. Wrong. Alden said, his daughter? Wrong. The World Eater mass was moving again. It had abandoned the quest factory and started crawling toward us like an ocean of black mouths. I looked at the password hint. The king's favorite thing. Old games loved dumb jokes. I said rope. Wrong. Greg said mushrooms. Wrong. The regret rooster walked closer to the lock. It looked at the carved royal symbol. Then it crowed. The lock opened. I stared. Alden stared. Mira stared. The system displayed the accepted password. Chicken. I put both hands over my face. Of course, the citadel gate opened. We ran inside just as the World Eater reached the courtyard. Black limbs slammed against the closing doors. Stone cracked. We sprinted through the old fortress toward the underground registry. I was still stuck at level 9,999. My stored experience kept increasing behind the cap. The prestige warning grew larger with every kill I had already banked. Stored overflow experience. Catastrophic. I ignored it. Then the Citadel announced a new problem. Intruders detected. Activating original raid defenses. Alden stopped. Oh, what? I forgot the Citadel considers players hostile unless they have raid clearance. Do you have raid clearance? My clearance expired 19 years ago. The floor opened beneath us. We fell into a giant circular arena. 4 stone doors slammed shut. Torches ignited one by one. A throne rose from the center. Sitting on it was a skeleton wearing a chef's hat. Level 4,444. Name, the Unreasonable Cook. He stood and raised a frying pan. "Prepare yourselves." I pulled out my broom. The skeleton pointed the pan at me. "For dinner." Then the entire arena transformed into a kitchen. Alden whispered, "I hate this raid." The unreasonable cook clapped his bony hands. Counters rose from the floor. Knives flew out of drawers by themselves. Cauldrons rolled into position. A giant clock appeared above the arena. 10 minutes. The skeleton chef pointed at us. "Create a dish worthy of the first king, or be tenderized." Mira drew her sword. "Can we just kill him?" Alden shook his head. "Damage is locked until the cooking phase ends." The chef hit Mira with his frying pan. She flew across the kitchen and landed in a sack of flour. The unreasonable cook nodded. "Tenderized." Mira stood up slowly. "I decided we should cook." The ingredient table contained everything a normal person would expect from a cursed raid kitchen. Dragon liver, moon onions, a live thunder eel, 3 demon peppers chained to a plate, a jar labeled probably salt, 1 wheel of cheese that whispered insults, and a single potato. The recipe clue said only this: the first king desired what he could not have. Alden started chopping dragon liver. Mira wrestled the thunder eel. Greg floated through the cheese and declared it rude. The regret rooster pecked a demon pepper and immediately began glowing. I looked at the potato. What could a king not have? Alden shouted, "Peace? Too dramatic." Mira shocked the thunder eel with its own tail. "Privacy? Maybe." The chef hurled a knife at me. I caught it by accident. Cooking skill learned. Level 1. I had never cooked in the game, but apparently catching a kitchen knife counted. I cut the potato. The knife passed through it so fast that the potato became several thousand perfectly thin slices. Cooking jumped to level 12. Unfinished growth activated. I put the slices into a pan. I had no oil. The regret rooster was still glowing from the demon pepper. I held the pan near its beak. "Can you breathe a little fire?" It breathed enough fire to melt a bunker. I moved the pan through the flame for 1 fraction of a second. The potato slices became crisp. Cooking jumped again. Greg stared at the pan. "What have you made?" "Chips." Alden stopped chopping. Mira stopped fighting the eel. The unreasonable cook stopped throwing knives. I looked at the clue again. The first king desired what he could not have. Maybe the king had eaten dragon liver every day. Maybe he had magical banquets and royal feasts. What could he not have? Cheap food. I sprinkled probably salt on the chips. The jar screamed. I stopped sprinkling. The dish completed. Simple potato chips? Quality. Transcendent. I stared at the quality rating. Apparently my absurd dexterity had cut every slice to identical thickness. My luck had chosen the exact right amount of seasoning, and the rooster's ridiculous heat had produced perfect crispness. Cooking evolved. Accidental cuisine. Effect. Mistakes have a chance to improve food. That was a dangerous skill for me to possess. I placed the chips in front of the chef. He leaned down. "Where is the sauce?" "I don't have sauce." "Where is the garnish?" "No garnish." "Where is the royal presentation?" "It is a potato." His eye sockets burned red. Then he ate one. The entire arena went silent. The chef's skeleton hands trembled. "What is this?" "Chips." He ate another, then another. The raid clock stopped. His frying pan fell from his hand. "For 19 years, he whispered, they brought me dragon steaks, phoenix eggs, celestial soup, truffle hydra." He ate another chip. "No one brought me a snack." The throne behind him opened. Raid condition fulfilled. The first king desired ordinary food. The unreasonable cook removed his chef hat. "You pass." Mira dropped the thunder eel. Alden looked at the dragon liver in his hands. Greg laughed at him. Then the world eater broke through the ceiling. The black mass poured into the kitchen. The chef turned around. "Oh, absolutely not." He picked up his frying pan and hit the first fragment. The fragment exploded. The chef was level 4444, and his damage lock only protected him during the challenge. Against the smaller world eater pieces, he was a monster. Fragments flooded the room. The chef attacked. Mira attacked. Alden attacked. The chickens attacked. Bernard attacked by eating anything with a visible icon. I tried not to kill anything because my experience overflow was already marked catastrophic. Then one fragment jumped at Greg. I reacted without thinking. I swatted it with the broom. It died. My screen turned black. Prestige compression mandatory. The game finally stopped asking. A giant wheel appeared over my character. Stored level value exceeded display maximum. Compressing progression. All the experience I had banked beyond level 9,999 collapsed inward. My level vanished. For one terrifying moment, my nameplate showed level 0. Then it changed. Prestige rank 1. Level 1. I stared at it. My stats remained. My skills remained. My class remained. My titles remained. I was level 1 again. Disaster tourist activated with maximum force. Equipment under level conditions satisfied. Enemy underestimation increased drastically. Danger adaptation increased drastically. Beginner protections partially restored. I started laughing. Mira looked at my nameplate. What happened? I think I prestiged. You are level 1. Technically. The unreasonable cook saw me. His combat logic reevaluated. He immediately moved in front of me protectively. Keep the beginner safe. I was stronger than everyone in the room combined. Alden started laughing too. The World Eater fragments also saw my level 1 marker. Their aggro logic changed. Some ignored me because I was worth almost no normal experience. Others switched to easier targets. My passive had transformed me from the highest priority target in the shard into background furniture. That was incredibly useful. I walked straight through the battle. Fragments rushed past me toward Mira and Alden. One stepped around me politely. I reached the far door. The raid clearance light turned green. Why? Beginner assistance mode. The Citadel assumed a level 1 player had entered the raid by mistake and opened the exit path. I turned around. Everyone this way. Mira blocked a fragment. How did you open that? I'm new. You are not new. The door thinks I am. We ran. The unreasonable cook stayed behind, happily smashing World Eater fragments with his pan. Before the door closed, he threw me the remaining bag of potatoes. Return when you learn dip. I will. Alden looked at me. Do not make promises to raid bosses. He gave me potatoes. That does not make him your friend. Debatable. We descended into the Citadel's underground archive. The deeper we went, the older the textures became. Smooth stone changed into blocky walls. Modern lighting vanished. Torches became flat orange flames that rotated to face us no matter where we stood. My body even changed slightly. My movement became more rigid. The broom lost some detail. Greg's ghost turned almost transparent. We were entering code from before launch. At the bottom we found a door with no handle. A single sentence floated in front of it. Authorized testers only. My Pioneer account did not qualify. Alden's old top player status did not qualify. Mira's survivor permissions did not qualify. Greg somehow tried. Denied. The regret rooster tried. Denied. Bernard licked the door. Denied. I searched my inventory. The emergency balance hammer was developer issued. That might count. I equipped it. The door scanned me again. Temporary developer tool detected. Provisional tester access granted. The door opened. Developer Echo had warned that the hammer had 5 hits. Apparently I did not need to hit anything with it for the system to mistake me for staff. I put it away carefully. Beyond the door was not a dungeon. It was an office. An old virtual office. Rows of gray desks stretched into darkness. Test characters stood frozen between them. Whiteboards were covered with notes. Giant floating bug tickets hung in the air. Chicken collision broken near Bramblewick fence. I stopped. There it was. My launch day bug report. 20 years later, deep beneath a quarantined world, my complaint about a chicken was still floating in the developer archive. I felt weirdly proud. Then I read the ticket beneath it. Do not enable adaptive hunger routine on production shard. Status unresolved. Alden came closer. That is it. The World Eater? He nodded. We followed the ticket line deeper into the office. It led to a glass room. Inside was a tiny black creature. Not giant, not terrifying. It looked like a round blob with one mouth. Level 1. Name: Hunger Test Creature. Status: Archived Prototype. Mira frowned. That cannot be it. Greg floated through the glass and immediately floated back out. It bit me. You are a ghost. It is very talented. I read the prototype notes. The hunger test creature had been designed to teach monster adaptation. Feed it fire, it gained fire resistance. Hit it with swords, it slowly learned armor. Let it observe players, it copied simple behaviors. The developers planned to use the system for one boss. Then someone accidentally placed a test version into the live launch build. The creature escaped. It ate. It learned. It became the World Eater. But the prototype in front of us was still archived. That meant the World Eater outside was not the original test file. It was a copy. Alden read the next note. Prototype duplication event occurred during rollback. Primary instance quarantined. Secondary instance missing. Mira whispered, secondary. The World Eater we knew had been secondary. The primary instance was somewhere else. Then the archived blob opened its eye. I had assumed it was frozen. It was not. A private message appeared. Hello, Ren. I stepped back. Alden drew his sword. The tiny blob smiled. Another message appeared. You brought my child home. The entire office shook. Above us, the secondary World Eater smashed into the Citadel. The little prototype opened its mouth wider. Every black vein in the walls lit up. A third message appeared. Now I can finish eating it. I looked at Alden. The giant one is the child? He looked just as shocked. The prototype pressed against the glass. Cracks spread across the chamber. For 19 years, everyone had thought the World Eater was trying to break into the modern server. Now it looked like the World Eater had been trying to escape from something older, and I had just brought it directly to its parent. The glass broke. The tiny hunger test creature rolled out onto the office floor. It was about the size of a melon. Bernard immediately tried to eat it. For once, Bernard was not the strangest thing in the room. The prototype opened its mouth and bit Bernard's tongue. Bernard recoiled. The prototype gained 1 level. Level 2. I felt my soul leave my body. No one feed it anything. Greg floated higher. It bit the frog. That counts as feeding. The prototype bounced toward me. I backed away. Its level displayed 2, but every instinct I had said not to touch it. The interface around its nameplate had no health bar, no mana, no normal status icons. Instead, it had permissions: observe, adapt, consume, replicate, archive access. That last one worried me. Then the ceiling collapsed. The secondary World Eater poured into the office as a black waterfall. Desks vanished beneath it. Test mannequins disappeared. Old bug reports were ripped from the air and swallowed. The small prototype turned toward the enormous mass. The enormous mass stopped. For the first time since I had seen it, the World Eater looked afraid. A private message appeared in front of me. Do not let it touch me. I stared at the message. Then another appeared. Please. That was new. Mira raised her sword toward the secondary mass. It is talking to you? Yes. What does it say? It said please. Alden looked between the two monsters. That is not good. The prototype smiled. Its mouth expanded until it split most of its body. The secondary World Eater attacked first. 1,000 black limbs struck the tiny creature. The office disappeared in the explosion. I grabbed Mira and Alden and jumped backward. Greg hid inside my crown. The regret rooster flapped after us. Bernard rolled through a wall. When the dust cleared, the prototype was still there. Level 2. No damage. Then its body changed. 1,000 tiny black limbs grew from it. It had copied the World Eater's attack. The secondary recoiled. The prototype launched the same attack back. The entire black mass slammed into the far wall. Its visible level dropped. 9,999. Then 9,900. Then 9,700. It was not losing health. It was losing levels. The prototype was eating progression. Alden whispered, "That is why the first one kept leveling." I understood. The secondary World Eater had not been grinding because it loved power. It had been building distance. Its parent consumed levels directly. The stronger the child became, the longer it could survive being eaten. For 19 years, it had been stuffing itself with experience just to stay ahead of the thing trapped below the citadel. That did not make it innocent. It had destroyed cities, consumed creatures, trapped players, and nearly invaded the modern server. But suddenly its behavior made terrible sense. It was a monster running on the oldest instinct in existence. Do not get eaten. The prototype bounced forward. The secondary World Eater backed away. A new message appeared. Help. Mira saw my face. Do not tell me you are considering it. I am considering everything. It tried to invade our world. It was trying to get away from this one, so it could eat our world instead. That is why I said I'm considering everything, not forgiving everything. The prototype touched the secondary mass. A chunk vanished. The prototype jumped from level 2 to level 3, only 1 level. That was somehow more terrifying than 1,000. Its power was not stored in the level system at all. It was using levels as food, not strength. Then it looked at me. Prestige rank 1, level 1. Its mouth opened. I realized my new compressed level made me look like the smallest meal in the room. It ignored me. Disaster tourist activated. Enemy underestimation maximum. I almost laughed. The parent of the apocalypse thought I was not worth eating. That was my advantage. I pulled out the emergency balance hammer, temporary developer weapon, 5 durability. Normalize 1 abnormal target value toward intended launch range. The prototype was basically a collection of abnormal target values wearing a mouth. I walked toward it. Alden saw the hammer. Ren, wait. I have provisional tester access. That does not mean you can fix it. No. But someone made this hammer because things were unbalanced. This thing is not unbalanced. It is a mistake. Those are cousins. The prototype attacked the secondary again. More levels vanished from the giant mass. I approached from behind. Neither creature cared about me. Level 1 beginner. Not a threat. I raised the hammer. Then I stopped. What value should I hit? Strength? Too simple. Level? Meaningless. Health? There was no health bar. I inspected the prototype as deeply as the tester access allowed. Adaptive response speed, unbounded. Consumption conversion, unbounded. Observation range, shard wide. Replication permission, unrestricted. Archive access, inherited. There were too many problems and only 5 hits. I chose observation range. The hammer struck the prototype with a soft wooden bonk. It turned around. Durability, 4. Observation range normalized. Shard wide became 30 meters. Every black vein in the distant walls went dark. The prototype's eye widened. It could no longer see the entire shard at once. Then it saw me. Too late. I hit it again. Adaptive response speed normalized. Instant became gradual. Durability, 3. The prototype tried to grow arms like mine. It took 3 full seconds. 3 seconds was an eternity at my agility. I stepped away before the copied arm finished forming. The secondary World Eater understood immediately. It attacked. A black spear hit the prototype and knocked it across the office. For the first time, the parent failed to copy the attack before impact. Mira shouted, "It can be hit now." Alden charged. I stopped him. Not with skills. He froze. Good. If we showed it powerful modern or legacy techniques, it could still learn them. Slower did not mean harmless. I looked around the old test office. Desks, chairs, whiteboards, bug reports, a broken water cooler, a cardboard display of a launch chicken. I smiled. Use furniture. Mira stared at me. What? Do not teach it combat skills. Hit it with office supplies. The next 30 seconds became the stupidest raid in Eternal Dominion history. Mira Ashfall, level 1000 survivor commander, threw a chair. Alden Marr, first legendary player of the game, hit the prototype with a trash can. The regret rooster kicked a desk. Bernard spat out a filing cabinet he had somehow swallowed earlier. Greg possessed a stapler and launched himself like a tiny ghost missile. I used my broom. The secondary World Eater watched. Then it joined us. A giant black limb picked up an entire conference table and slapped its own parent with it. The prototype bounced across the office. It began adapting to furniture. Office impact resistance, 3%. We hit it harder. Office impact resistance, 8%. I used the hammer a third time. I targeted consumption conversion. Durability, 2. Unbounded became intended test range. The prototype's next bite took 1 level from the secondary instead of hundreds. The giant World Eater stopped retreating. Every mouth on its body opened. It laughed. I had never heard a million mouths laugh together. I would not recommend it. The secondary attacked with desks, rocks, broken wall pieces, and 1 decorative fern. The parent bounced around like an evil ball in a tornado. Its body finally cracked. A health bar appeared. 100. Not 100 million. 100 total health. The original prototype had been designed for testing. It was never supposed to be a raid boss. Its impossible power came from permissions, not numbers. Once those permissions were normalized, it was a level 3 blob with 100 health and an attitude. Mira raised her sword. I shouted, "Furniture." She threw another chair. 90 health. Alden hit it with the water cooler. 74. The rooster dropped a desk on it. 48. Bernard licked it. 47. I do not know why that only did 1 damage. The secondary World Eater lifted a huge stone slab. The parent sent me a private message. Ren. I paused. Another message. I can give you levels. I laughed. I have enough. The prototype tried another approach. I can remove limits. Limits are the only reason you are losing. I can restore the old world. Alden heard me speaking and looked over. What is it saying? Trying to negotiate. The prototype's message changed. I can send the survivors home. That got my attention. Mira's eyes narrowed. Can it? Archive access remained active. That was one of the 2 permissions I had not normalized. If the prototype controlled the archived migration scripts, maybe it really could reopen mass transfer. The secondary World Eater raised the stone slab, ready to crush it. I shouted, "Wait!" The slab stopped. Every mouth turned toward me. The prototype sat at 47 health. I had 2 hammer hits left. Replication permission and archive access were still unrestricted. If I normalized archive access, we might lose the only immediate path home for thousands of trapped people. If I left it active, the prototype might seize the root quest registry and become impossible again. Mira stepped beside me. Do not trust it. I don't. Then hit it. Alden looked toward the deeper archive door. If the migration scripts still exist, we can access them without giving this thing control. Can we? I don't know. The prototype sent another message. They cannot. Then another. Only I remember the path. I stared at the tiny monster. It was lying. Probably. The problem was that smart lies included just enough truth to make you hesitate. The World Eater had learned from players for 19 years. Its parent had been watching from the archive even longer. It knew exactly what a hostage was. I raised the hammer. The prototype opened its mouth. I hit replication permission. Durability, 1. Unrestricted became disabled. The prototype screamed. I left archive access intact. One risk remained. But now it could not duplicate itself if we failed. I pointed at it. You get one chance. Mira grabbed my arm. Ren, I'm not trusting it. I'm using it. The prototype's body trembled. A new path appeared in the floor. An archive door opened behind its broken chamber. Migration control. Alden's face changed. It is real. The secondary world eater sent me another message. Bad idea, I typed back. I know. Then we did it anyway. The migration control room looked disappointingly normal. After mountains in the sky, debt dragons, quest-eating frogs, and a skeleton chef, I expected the machine that moved people between worlds to be made of stars. It was a beige terminal on a desk. The chair squeaked. The keyboard had crumbs in it. Someone had left a mug beside the monitor with the words "definitely not production" written on the side. Alden stared at the terminal like it was a holy relic. This moved everyone during the Black Reset. Everyone except you. Yes. Not a great review. He ignored me and sat down. The terminal asked for archive authorization. The tiny prototype bounced onto the desk. Its archive access permission flashed. I kept the balance hammer ready. One hit left. The prototype touched the keyboard with a tiny black limb. The terminal unlocked. Migration registry available. Destination shards 1. Current destination Eternal Dominion Live. My heart jumped. The modern server was still listed. Alden opened the transfer menu. Then his hope disappeared. Eligible accounts 412. Mira frowned. There are thousands of us. 412 active player account signatures, Alden said. The rest are NPCs, descendants, abandoned shells, or people whose accounts no longer exist on the live registry. A man behind us whispered, "Descendants." The survivor settlement had whole families born after isolation. The migration tool did not consider them players. It considered them local data. The prototype sent me a private message. I can move them. I looked at its archive permission. How? A black limb touched the screen. A hidden option appeared. Full shard merge, estimated data transfer. Everything. Destination Eternal Dominion Live. Mira read it. No. Alden agreed immediately. Absolutely not. A full shard merge would move the survivors. It would also move the secondary world eater, every corrupted raid boss, every broken rule, every floating mountain, and whatever else had spent 19 years evolving in isolation. It would solve our problem by giving the modern server all of our problems. The prototype bounced happily. Of course it liked that option. I pointed the hammer at it. Show me every migration mode. It did not move. Every one. A second hidden menu appeared. Account transfer. Character transfer. Guild transfer. Zone transfer. Territory transfer. Full shard merge. I stopped at territory transfer. What exactly counts as territory? Alden read the old help file. Owned land, attached structures, registered residents, bound service NPCs, domestic creatures, local storage, and approved environmental assets. Greg floated out of my crown. Your Majesty, I already knew that tone. No, we have a territory. A whole. A sovereign whole. The survivors are not in it. Then expand. I remembered the seed Mother Lawn had dropped. Territory seed, plant in owned land to expand fertile area. I had given it to Greg, but he could not hold it. He had eventually asked the Regret Rooster to carry it. The rooster still had it tucked beneath one wing. I stared at the seed, then at the territory transfer option, then at Greg. You are about to become unbearably smug, aren't you? I have prepared for this moment all my afterlife. The plan was ridiculous. That meant it had a chance. We needed to reach the survivor settlement before the prototype, or the secondary world eater changed the situation. I told Alden to keep the terminal connected. Mira stayed with him. The prototype remained on the desk under Bernard's supervision. Bernard was told not to eat it. Bernard looked disappointed. I took Greg and the Regret Rooster and ran back to the Turtle City. At level 1 prestige, my movement passives were even more unstable. Beginner movement assistance tried to correct my path while my agility stat wanted to break geography. The result was that I did not run along the ground. I ran through shortcuts reality had not intended. I stepped on one rock and appeared a mile ahead. I touched a tree and somehow exited from another tree across a valley. I jumped over a river and landed before I had jumped. Greg stopped commenting after that. We reached the settlement in 21 seconds. The Survivor Council was still trying to understand Alden's message when I entered the turtle shell. We can move the city. The oldest mage blinked. Move it where? To my kingdom. Mira's second in command, a scarred archer named Sol, looked at Greg. His kingdom is a deleted tutorial hole. Greg bowed. Tax-free. The mage stared at me. You want us to move thousands of people into a hole? Temporarily. How large is this hole? I don't know. Does it have housing? No. Water? Probably. Food? Mushrooms. Greg added, Advanced mushrooms, soon. The council looked ready to reject me, so I explained the territory transfer system. If the settlement became part of my owned territory, the migration archive could transfer the land, structures, and registered residents together. We would not be moving each person individually. We would pick up the city as one giant piece of property and throw it through 19 years of server history. One council member asked, "Is that safe?" No. Another asked, "Has anyone done it before?" No. A third asked, "Do you know what happens if it fails?" No. Greg whispered, "Your Majesty, perhaps let me handle diplomacy." I let him. He floated onto the council table. "I am Greg, first citizen of the Forgotten Tutorial Depths, former sovereign of the Mushroom Dominion, pension applicant, and current royal advisor." I had never appointed him advisor. He continued, "Our kingdom currently has no army, no treasury, no roads, no housing, no functioning government, and no legal recognition by the modern world." The council looked even less convinced. Greg raised one ghostly leg, "Which means we have nothing to lose." That worked better than it should have. The oldest mage laughed. Then Sol laughed. Then the entire council started laughing, mostly because the alternative was panic. They agreed. I planted the territory seed in the center of the turtle city. Nothing happened. I waited. Greg waited. The regret rooster pecked the seed. The ground exploded with green light. Roots spread through the giant turtle shell. They wrapped houses, roads, bridges, bone towers, storage rooms, and defensive walls. My territory panel opened. Expansion detected. Warning, owned zones are not contiguous. I selected Annex. The system asked for a connecting method. Road, portal, border claim, administrative merger, royal marriage. I closed royal marriage before Greg could say anything. Portal required a functioning teleport anchor. I did not have one. Road was impossible across shards. Border claim made no sense. Administrative merger required both territories to have recognized governments. The survivor settlement did. My kingdom did not. Greg floated closer. "Your Majesty, appoint me." "To what?" "Everything." "No." "Temporarily." I opened the government panel. Treasurer, Minister of Roads, Minister of Agriculture, Minister of Defense, Chief Judge, Tax Collector, Royal Cook, Keeper of Chickens. There were 27 positions. I assigned all of them to Greg. The system objected. Administrative overload warning. Greg accepted. Government recognized. The Survivor Council signed the merger. Our territories became one. Forgotten Tutorial Depths expanded. Population jumped from 1 to 8,643. Greg's ghost flashed with power. He gained levels from civic responsibility. 50, 70, 100. He reached level 312. He evolved. Greg, Tutorial Devourer Ghost, became Greg, Overworked Minister. He stared at his new title. "I have made a mistake. You wanted everything." I was younger then. It was 30 seconds ago. The territory panel confirmed that every registered resident, house, shop, farm, defensive structure, domestic pet, and approved environmental asset inside the turtle shell now belonged to the same territory as my deleted dungeon. Approved environmental assets included the dead turtle shell itself. It also included 4 ponds, 300 trees, 6,000 tons of stone, and one very confused wild boar. I contacted Alden through the ancient party channel. Try territory transfer. He did. The sky above the city turned white. A giant loading circle appeared over the turtle shell. Migration target recognized. Destination territory anchor, Forgotten Tutorial Depths. Population transfer allowed. The city erupted in cheers. Then another message appeared. Transfer blocked. Hostile entity attached to territory boundary. My stomach dropped. The black veins beneath the turtle shell lit up. The secondary world eater had followed our territory routes. It had attached one tiny fragment to the outer wall. Just one. That was enough to make it part of the transfer package. A private message appeared. "Take me too." I clenched my teeth. The child world eater wanted the modern server. Maybe to escape its parent. Maybe to eat everything. Probably both. I refused the transfer. The fragment grew. More black mass pushed through the root network. People screamed as dark veins spread across the inside of the turtle shell. I had moved too fast. The world eater had learned territory mechanics by watching me. Again, Alden's voice came through the party channel. "Ren, the prototype is moving." "What do you mean moving?" "It is inside the terminal." That was bad. Then he shouted. The channel filled with static. The migration terminal changed remotely. Full shard merge selected. Countdown. 60 seconds. The prototype had used its remaining archive access to start the one thing we absolutely could not allow. I had one balance hammer hit left. The prototype was 200 miles away. The secondary World Eater was crawling into my new city. 8,000 people were standing on territory I had accidentally taught both monsters how to hijack, and the game was 60 seconds away from dumping the entire nightmare into Bramblewick training field. Greg floated beside me. Your Majesty. Yes? I recommend we panic professionally. For once, I agreed with every word. 59 seconds. The black veins spread through the turtle shell. 58. The entire city shook as the World Eater forced more of itself into my territory. 57. I opened the government panel. Greg, can you change the border? He blinked. Which border? The new one. Our constitution does not exist. Then it should be easy. Greg looked offended by my understanding of government, but he opened the territory map. The World Eater fragment was attached to 3 feet of outer wall on the northern edge of the turtle shell. Abandon that section. Greg gasped. Your Majesty, that wall is public infrastructure. 3 feet of it. Today, 3 feet. Tomorrow, a bridge. Greg, beginning emergency border revision. The map required approval from the Minister of Roads, Minister of Defense, Chief Judge, Treasurer, and Royal Surveyor. Greg held all 5 jobs. He approved his own request 5 times. The system complained about conflict of interest. Greg overruled the complaint as Chief Judge. I had accidentally created the most efficient government in history. 51 seconds. The borderline moved inward. The contaminated wall section turned gray. Territory abandoned. The World Eater fragment lost its attachment. Transfer package clean. I shouted, start territory transfer. Alden's voice came through the party channel. I cannot. The prototype locked the terminal. 48 seconds. Of course it had. I looked at the 200-mile distance on the map. My agility stat hummed. I handed the regret rooster to Greg. Keep everyone inside the roots. Where are you going? To hit technical support with a hammer. I ran. The city vanished. The valley vanished. The horizon folded into a tunnel. At Prestige Level 1, my beginner movement correction fought my absurd speed every step. Instead of following roads, the game kept trying to place me on safe beginner terrain. There was no safe beginner terrain nearby, so it improvised. I stepped on the side of a cliff. The system decided the cliff was unsafe and relocated me to a path 6 miles ahead. I immediately moved too fast for that path. It corrected me again. 9 miles. Again. 12 miles. I was weaponizing the anti-stuck tutorial system. 41 seconds. I crossed a mountain range without touching the mountain. 37. A flying serpent appeared. Beginner safety moved me around it automatically. 34. The secondary World Eater noticed me leaving and sent black tendrils across the land. I was level 1. Its targeting system considered me low priority. The tendrils chased a level 800 goat instead. I had never been so grateful to look useless. 30 seconds. The first citadel appeared ahead. The upper tower was collapsing. The child World Eater had abandoned the city fragment and returned to the archive. It knew the full shard merge was its best chance to escape. I reached the outer gate. Beginner assistance opened it for me. 26 seconds. I reached the kitchen arena. The unreasonable cook saw my level 1 marker and shouted, Child, this area is dangerous. No time. He threw me a bag of chips anyway. I caught it. 23 seconds. I reached the tester door. The emergency balance hammer still gave me provisional access. The door opened. 20. The old office was gone. The child World Eater filled most of the archive. Alden and Mira were trapped behind overturned desks. Bernard was stuck to the ceiling. The tiny parent prototype had partially merged with the beige terminal, becoming a horrifying computer accessory with teeth. Full shard merge, 18 seconds. The prototype saw me. Its mouth smiled. I raised the hammer. It sent a message. Too late. I ran toward the desk. The child World Eater noticed the hammer and attacked me. Disaster tourist activated. Danger far exceeds recommended level. Adaptive defense increased. Beginner emergency dodge enabled. A black spear passed through where my head had been because the game physically moved me 6 inches left to protect a level 1 player. I did not dodge. The tutorial dodged for me. 15 seconds. I jumped onto the desk. The prototype grew a mouth around the terminal. Archive access unrestricted. I swung. It moved. Slowly. I had normalized its adaptation speed earlier. The hammer struck its side. Bonk. Durability 0. Archive access normalized. Unrestricted became local read-only. The prototype froze. The terminal unlocked. Full shard merge stopped. Countdown, 3 seconds. Cancelled. The balance hammer cracked down the middle and vanished in a puff of sawdust. For one beautiful moment, no one moved. Then Bernard fell from the ceiling. He landed on the prototype. The tiny creature squeaked. Its health dropped from 47 to 32. Bernard opened his mouth. I shouted, "Do not eat it." He paused with the prototype halfway inside. Alden climbed over a broken desk. "You want to keep it alive? I want to know what else it knows." Mira pointed at the child world eater filling the room. "We have a larger problem." The child mass attacked the parent. Bernard jumped away just in time. A black limb slammed into the desk and shattered the terminal casing. Alden screamed, "The migration controls!" I dove forward and caught the beige box before it hit the floor. The screen still worked. Barely. Territory transfer available. I selected my kingdom. Forgotten tutorial depths plus annex survivor settlement. Destination Eternal Dominion live. I pressed transfer. The child world eater lunged toward the terminal. Mira intercepted with her shield. She flew backward. Alden attacked with the metal frame of an office chair instead of his sword. The child recoiled. It still remembered our furniture strategy. I confirmed transfer. Far away, the turtle city began glowing. Greg's voice shouted through the party channel. "Your Majesty, the sky is opening." "Good. I disagree. Keep everyone inside the boundary. The boar is outside. Leave the boar. It is an approved environmental asset. Then grab the boar." I could hear Greg screaming orders to 8,000 citizens while chasing a wild pig. The child world eater slammed another limb at the terminal. I used the broom to deflect it. The broom snapped. I stared at the broken handle. My beloved janitor weapon was gone. Conceptual cleaning remained as a learned skill, but the physical broom had survived skeletons, Greg, Mother Lawn, debt, raid kitchens, and 2 world eaters. The child had crossed a line. I grabbed the broken half and threw it. The wooden shard hit one of its eyes. 1 damage. The child's entire mass stopped. It sent me a private message. Rude. Good. Territory transfer, 72%. The child moved toward me. Then the parent prototype bit it. The tiny creature had escaped Bernard. It latched onto a black tendril and consumed 1 level. The child screamed. The parent consumed another, then another. Its old unbounded conversion was gone, but 1 level at a time still hurt. The child forgot about me and attacked its parent. The prototype bounced away. Alden pulled me toward the terminal. "Transfer us." Player account transfer remained available. Eligible current players nearby. Ren Veyron, Alden Mar. Mira was not listed. I looked at her. Her account signature had expired years ago. No, she understood immediately. Go. No, the city is leaving. My people will be safe. You are coming with them. I am not registered. I opened my territory panel. Mira was a resident of the annexed settlement. Territory transfer was already 88% complete, but she was here, outside the physical zone. She would be left behind, unless the territory considered her location differently. I appointed her Minister of Defense. Greg's name disappeared from that one position. Greg's voice instantly shouted, "I felt that." Mira received the appointment. Government official bound to capital territory. Emergency relocation available during migration. I selected yes. Mira vanished in a flash of green light. Greg shouted through the channel, "A woman just appeared on the council table." That is Mira. She broke the table. Add it to the budget. I am still treasurer. Territory transfer hit 100%. The Turtle City disappeared from the first shard. 8,643 residents. Every house, every bridge, every farm, every shop, the giant turtle shell, 79 chickens, 1 wild boar, and 1 overworked ghost minister vanished in white light. They were gone. For the first time, I felt something inside my chest unclench. Then the terminal sparked. 1 player transfer remained possible before failure. Alden read it. 1. There were 2 of us. The child world eater was still fighting its parent. The archive was collapsing. Alden put his hand on my shoulder. "You go. You have been trapped here long enough. So have they." He pointed toward the vanished city marker. "You got them out. That matters. I am not leaving you. You do not have a choice." I looked at the terminal. 1 transfer. 7 pioneer tokens. I suddenly remembered Cobb's hidden service. Emergency unstuck relocation. Move all nearby party members to the nearest valid home checkpoint. Cost 7 pioneer tokens. But Cobb had transferred with the city. I needed an original launch vendor to redeem them. The office was full of archived test characters. Most had been destroyed. 1 remained frozen behind a broken cubicle. A cardboard merchant model holding a sign. Test vendor. Created before launch. I ran to it and held up a token. Its blank face lit up. Hidden pioneer services available. I almost kissed the cardboard. I spent all 7 tokens. Emergency unstuck relocation activated. Nearby party members. 2. Nearest valid home checkpoint. Forgotten tutorial depths. Alden stared at me. You saved those? I am very bad at spending currency. The terminal exploded. The child world eater slammed its parent into the wall. The prototype's health dropped to 11. A private message appeared from the child. Run. Another appeared from the parent. Stay. I looked at both monsters. I'm going to disappoint both of you. The emergency relocation activated. White light surrounded Alden and me. Just before the archive vanished, I saw the tiny parent leap toward the child. I saw the child open every mouth. I saw the first citadel split down the middle, and then we were gone. I expected to land in my quiet underground kingdom. Instead, I landed on top of Captain Orla. Alden landed on Drax. The Regret Rooster landed on Lyra. And an entire dead turtle city was sitting in the middle of Bramblewick training field. The modern server had become significantly more crowded. Bringing an ancient city into a beginner zone created several problems at once. The first problem was physical space. The turtle shell was larger than Bramblewick. The migration system tried to place the entire thing at my home checkpoint beneath the training field. The underground dungeon was not large enough. The modern collision engine detected 8,000 buildings attempting to occupy 300 cubic feet and activated emergency placement. The whole city moved upward. It appeared 300 feet in the air. Then gravity remembered its job. Everyone screamed. I had been back on the live server for 4 seconds. I looked up at 8,000 people falling toward Bramblewick. Greg! His ghost appeared over the edge of the turtle shell. Your Majesty, do something government-related. I do not control gravity. Mira leaned over beside him. Ren, I know. Lyra was still pinned under the Regret Rooster. She shouted, move the city. With what? You own it. That was the first useful sentence anyone had said. I opened the territory panel. Forgotten tutorial depths. And next settlement. Capital location invalid. Emergency territory placement available. Possible locations appeared as glowing outlines across the region. Most were red. One was green. Directly above the deleted tutorial dungeon. I selected it. The city stopped falling. It froze 30 feet above the ground. Then giant stone pillars materialized beneath the turtle shell, connecting it to the underground kingdom. The whole structure settled gently onto them. Bramblewick now had a dead turtle city floating over its tutorial field, like the world's most aggressive apartment complex. Every new player received a message. Tutorial landmark updated. I felt terrible. The second problem was population registration. The modern server tried to process 8,643 new residents at once. Names flashed across the sky. Occupation conflicts appeared. 3 different blacksmiths were assigned to the same empty workshop. A woman who had spent 19 years as a battlefield surgeon was automatically classified as beginner potion assistant. The oldest survivor mage became tutorial hint elder. He was not pleased. Greg's government positions imported correctly. All 26 of them. His level jumped again because the modern world recognized each office as an achievement. Greg reached level 509. New title, Administrative Monstrosity. He seemed proud. The third problem was money. The survivors had spent 19 years using first shard currency. The live economy did not recognize it. Their coins became collectibles. Some were suddenly worthless. Others were suddenly priceless. One child had a copper token in his pocket that the modern auction system valued at 2 million gold because the mint design had existed for only 3 days before a launch patch. He immediately tried to buy a dragon. Mira confiscated the coin. The fourth problem was Alden. The moment players realized Alden Mar had returned, Bramblewick became impossible. Thousands of people rushed the training field. Streamers flew overhead. Guild historians started crying. Someone held a sign saying, Alden owes me 19 years of raid loot. Alden saw it and turned around. I want to go back. No, you don't. I am considering it. Drax climbed out from under him and punched his shoulder. You look terrible. Alden smiled. You got old. My avatar did not. Your fashion did. They hugged like men who would rather die than admit they were happy. Lyra finally escaped the Regret Rooster and found Mira. The two women stared at each other for several seconds. Lyra had studied the First Shard survivors as history. Mira had spent 19 years assuming the outside world abandoned them. Neither knew what to say, so Greg floated between them and handed Mira an imaginary government form. Minister of Defense, your office requires a budget proposal by Friday. Mira tried to kill him. Greg fled through a wall. That broke the tension. Then Developer Echo appeared. No grand entrance this time. He simply materialized beside me holding a different mug. The mug said still not production. He looked up at the Turtle City. Then at Alden. Then at Mira chasing Greg. Then at the Regret Rooster. Then at me. I sent you to inspect a seal. I inspected it. You migrated a civilization. It was nearby. You created a monarchy. That happened accidentally. You assigned a deleted centipede boss to 26 cabinet positions. 25 now. Mira has defense. Developer Echo stared into the distance. I used to make puzzle games. I'm sorry. He opened an administrator window and scanned my character. His expression changed. Why are you level 1? Prestige compression. His mug stopped halfway to his mouth. You prestiged? Apparently. How much experience did you overflow? I didn't count. Ren. It said catastrophic. He closed his eyes. That was becoming a common reaction to my account. Then he checked my rested bonus. 8,381,000%. Developer Echo stared at the number. You still have that much? I lost some. You reached the legacy cap, compressed, and still have over 8 million%. I was offline for a while. 20 years is not a while. It felt quick to me. He began muttering calculations. I ignored him because a green slime bounced out from beneath one of the new Turtle City pillars. Level 1. It looked exactly like the slime that started my day. The crowd around Bramblewick noticed it too. Thousands of players turned toward me. Someone shouted, "Do it again." I did not want to. Developer Echo looked at the slime. Then at my prestige level 1. Do not. That made me want to more. Ren. It is blocking the road. It is a slime. A dangerous traffic hazard. Do not kill that slime. The slime bounced into my ancient sock. It dealt 0 damage. I looked down. It squeaked. I tapped it with one finger. The slime vanished. Developer Echo whispered, "Why? Level up." My prestige level 1 became level 32, then 106, then 300, then 800. The crowd began screaming. 1,400, 2,100, 3,700, 4,204. The global announcement system tried to explain what happened. A prestige player has gained 4,000 levels from a slime. Announcement suppressed pending review. Another message appeared. Rested experience bonus adjusted for prestige conversion. Effective multiplier increased. I frowned. Developer Echo went pale. Why increased? He read the technical line. Prestige compression reduces experience denominator. My bonus had not become weaker after prestige. It had become more efficient. The 8 million% pool now stretched farther. I looked at Developer Echo. He looked at me. Is that bad? He pointed at the sky. The prestige experience bar was still moving. The slime had only given a tiny amount of base experience, but old pending multipliers were being recalculated under the prestige system. My level kept rising. 4,500, 5,000, 5,600. Finally it stopped at 5,912. One slime. Again, the beginner field erupted in cheers. A player nearby dropped to his knees. Another shouted, "Slime stocks are up." Within seconds, thousands of high-level players started buying slime spawn scrolls from the auction house. Prices increased by 600%. Developer Echo stared at me. You have destabilized the slime economy. I killed one. That is all you ever say. Then a goblin wandered into the field. Everyone became silent. The goblin saw me. I saw the goblin. Developer Echo stepped between us. No. The goblin threw a spoon at him. The spoon missed. It hit me. 0 damage. The goblin smiled like it had accomplished something. I pointed at Developer Echo. It has chosen. Ren. I flicked the spoon back. The goblin disappeared over the horizon. A kill notification arrived 3 seconds later. Level up. My level jumped past 6,000, then 7, then 8, then 9,999. Prestige compression mandatory. Developer Echo screamed, "No." Too late. Prestige rank increased to 2. Level reset to 1. The entire crowd went insane. I had completed a full prestige cycle with one goblin. My account had become a machine that turned tutorial trash into cosmic progression, and I still had more than 8 million% rested experience waiting. Prestige rank 2 should have made me feel powerful. Instead, the game put a tiny green leaf beside my name. New Adventurer, level 1. The crowd laughed so hard that several people fell off their mounts. I was a prestige ranked level 1 with enough strength to throw a castle and enough beginner protection to qualify for a tutorial on how to open my inventory. A floating fairy appeared beside me. "Welcome, new adventurer. Would you like to learn how to walk?" I looked at Developer Echo. He looked at the fairy. Neither of us spoke. The fairy smiled. "Use your left foot, then your right foot." I dismissed her. She came back. "Great job." I had not moved. Apparently standing successfully counted as tutorial progress. Reward. 1 experience. Rested bonus applied. My level jumped from 1 to 12. Developer Echo grabbed the fairy out of the air. "No more rewards." She continued smiling in his hand. "Great job." I reached level 13. He threw her into a system portal. The crowd cheered. Then the sky turned red. Every laugh stopped. Automated anomaly threshold exceeded. Combat progression inconsistent with expected account history. Reviewing character. I pointed upward. We already did this. Developer Echo shook his head. That was moderation. This is integrity control. What is the difference? Moderation asks whether you broke the rules. And integrity control? It asks whether the rules are broken because of you. That sounded much more accurate. A black circle opened above Bramblewick. Something enormous descended through it. It looked like a dragon built from white stone, chains, padlocks, and floating lines of legal text. Its wings were made of giant checklists. Its eyes were rotating warning symbols. Integrity Warden. Level hidden. Classification. System enforcement. The crowd backed away. Even Drax stopped smiling. Lyra ordered every Astral Crown member to lower their weapons. Captain Orla muttered, I have never seen that before. Developer Echo had. That worried me. What does it do? I asked. It tests impossible characters. How? The Integrity Warden opened its mouth. A beam of white light hit me. All my equipment vanished. Not destroyed. Temporarily disabled. My titles disappeared. My class passives dimmed. My territory bonuses shut off. The Regret Rooster was forcibly dismissed. My ancient socks vanished. I stood in default beginner underwear in front of several thousand players. The crowd became very quiet. I looked at Developer Echo. Please tell me this is part of the test. Yes. Good. Usually the underwear is gray. Mine was bright purple. I closed my eyes. 20 years ago, I had apparently selected a launch day joke color and forgotten about it. The Integrity Warden spoke. Character will undergo baseline challenge. All external effects suppressed. Defeat assigned target using valid core attributes. A cage appeared in the field. Inside was a rabbit. Level 5. It had 100 health. The entire server watched me. Drax started laughing again. Lyra elbowed him. The rabbit hopped forward. I checked my stats. The Warden had disabled bonuses, gear, titles, and most skills. It had not disabled core attributes. I still had tens of thousands of strength, agility, vitality, and luck from my old progression rules. The rabbit attacked. It bit my ankle. 0 damage. The Warden waited. I bent down. I tapped the rabbit on the forehead. The rabbit became a distant memory. It flew out of the cage, crossed Bramblewick, passed through a decorative banner, and vanished into the western forest. 3 seconds later, the kill notification arrived. Level up. The Integrity Warden froze. My rested experience activated even though everything else was suppressed because rested experience was categorized as an account service, not a character effect. Level 13 became 300, then 900, 2000, 4000, 6000, 9000. Developer Echo whispered, Please stop. I am not doing anything. 9,999. Prestige compression triggered. Prestige rank 3, level 1. The Integrity Warden's giant stone jaw opened slightly. A system enforcement dragon had just watched me complete another prestige cycle by poking a rabbit. Its test result appeared. Core attributes valid. Account service valid. Progression outcome unacceptable. I nodded. Fair. Secondary test required. Drax shouted, "Give him a chicken." Half the crowd started chanting chicken. I turned toward him. You are not helping. The Warden created a chicken. Level 2. I recognized the model. Same brown feathers. Same angry little eyes. Same pecking animation. The launch chicken. My ancient enemy. The crowd somehow became quieter. Alden stood beside me. He looked at the chicken, then at me. Full circle. I hate this game. The chicken attacked. It pecked my shin. My beginner courage skill was suppressed, but the emotional damage was real. I raised my fist, then stopped. If I killed it, I would probably prestige again. The Warden expected me to defeat it. I remembered the first rat quest. Defeat did not always mean kill. I crouched in front of the chicken. It pecked me again. I stared into its tiny eyes. Listen, we have history. The chicken pecked me. 20 years ago, you won. Peck. I have grown since then. Peck. Mostly by killing one slime. Peck. I do not need revenge. The chicken paused. I held out one potato chip from the unreasonable cook's bag. The chicken ate it. Its aggression state ended. Target defeated through pacification. The Integrity Warden processed the result. No kill occurred. No rested experience triggered. The crowd exploded in applause. I had finally defeated the chicken. Without punching it through a mountain, a small achievement appeared. 20-year rematch. Reward. 1 experience. I stared at it. No. Rested bonus applied. Level 1 became level 87. Developer Echo started laughing. He could not stop. The Integrity Warden remained completely still for several seconds. Then its checklist wings folded. Integrity result? Character functions according to account rules. Account rules are unreasonable. No enforcement action available. The dragon returned to the black circle. Before disappearing, it looked down at me. I swear it looked disappointed. My equipment returned. Most importantly, my socks returned. The crowd celebrated like I had cleared a world raid. Then a much larger announcement appeared. New sovereign territory detected. Legacy population recognized. Founding authority required. The turtle city glowed. My crown appeared automatically on my head. Greg shot out of a wall and floated beside me carrying an absurd stack of spectral paperwork. Your Majesty, we have a crisis. Which one? Citizenship forms. That is not the crisis I expected. 8,643 people require modern registration. 16 have disputed birth dates because their calendar no longer matches this shard. 3 are legally older than their parents due to time compression. 1 man is married to an NPC who is technically classified as furniture. How? She was a tavern singer attached to a decorative bench object. I rubbed my forehead. Greg continued. We also need a national name. No. The system will not recognize Forgotten Tutorial Depths as a sovereign nation because it contains the word tutorial. Why? Advertising policy. Fine. Call it Gregland. Greg's eyes widened. I immediately regretted it. Nation registered. Gregland. The global announcement went out before I could cancel. A new sovereign nation has been founded. Gregland. Ruler, Ren Varen. Population 8,643. Capital, Turtle Shell. Primary export, mushrooms. Every player on the server saw it. I stared at Greg. He stared at me with tears in his ghostly eyes. This is the greatest day of my death. I am changing the name. Too late. There is a 90-day cooldown. I looked at developer Echo. He was laughing again. Mira returned from the Turtle City and slapped a government ledger against Greg's face. Your agricultural budget is nonsense. Greg fled. She chased him. Alden sat beside me on the fallen bronze statue. For a few seconds, neither of us said anything. Around us, survivors were meeting modern players. Families were receiving temporary housing. Guild healers treated old injuries. Historians were already annoying everyone with questions. Children from the first shard discovered modern cosmetic mounts and immediately began demanding floating whales. For the first time all day, things almost felt calm. I should have known better. Alden looked toward the dungeon entrance beneath the Turtle City. What happened after we left? To the World Eaters? Yes, I don't know. The terminal was destroyed, mostly. The parent lost archive control. Yes. The child was still trapped there. Yes. He looked at me. You do not sound convinced. I was not. Something had bothered me since our return. My pet interface. I opened it. 79 apology chickens. That was correct. 1 regret rooster. Correct. Then I counted the smaller chickens standing around the Turtle City stairs. 78. I counted again. 78. The interface said 79. Alden stood up. What? 1 is missing. We searched the field. Chickens pecked grass beside the pillars. Chickens slept under carts. 1 sat on Captain Orla's helmet. None were missing physically. Then I realized the regret rooster had evolved from one of the original 79. There should have been 78 normal chickens plus him. The interface was counting 1 extra. 80 total creatures. I opened the pet details. 1 entry had no icon, no name, no species. Bound owner, Ren Veyron. Acquired during territory transfer. My blood went cold. A private message appeared. Found it. Alden saw my expression. Ren. I looked toward the flock. 1 normal-looking brown chicken slowly turned its head. Its eyes were black, not dark brown. Black. Its beak opened. Inside were tiny teeth. The child world eater had learned pet binding. It had not attached itself to the territory when we transferred. It had attached itself to me. I reached for it. The fake chicken exploded into a blur and ran between the Turtle City pillars. I chased it. Alden chased me. The regret rooster saw the imposter and screamed with personal betrayal. All 78 real chickens joined the pursuit. We ran through Bramblewick in a parade of absolute stupidity. The fake chicken darted around Farmer Pell's sunberry patch. Then it stopped beside a slime. Level 1. I realized what it was doing. No. The fake chicken pecked the slime. The slime died. A system message appeared. Unknown bound pet has gained experience. The fake chicken glowed. Level 1 became level 30, then 100, then 500, then 2,000. Alden stopped running. I stopped too. The chicken continued glowing. 4,000, 6,000, 8,000, 9,999. The system hesitated, then displayed something I did not want to see. Prestige compression available. The fake chicken looked at me. Its tiny mouth smiled. It had learned prestige from watching me. Then a private message appeared. My turn. Prestige rank 1. Level 1. The World Eater had compressed itself. Its giant body, its old levels, and 19 years of accumulated strength had been converted into something the modern server thought was a harmless bound pet. and now it could level from slimes. Just like me. Developer Echo arrived behind us. He looked at the black-eyed chicken. He looked at me. No, I agree. That is the World Eater. Yes. As a chicken. Yes. Bound to your account. Unfortunately. He opened an administrator panel. The panel immediately closed itself. Pioneer pet ownership protected by legacy entitlement. Developer Echo slowly lowered his hands. You cannot be serious. The fake chicken pecked another slime. Level up. Its level started climbing again. I lunged. It ran. We crossed the training field in a blur. I almost caught it near the old fence. Then the chicken moved through the fence. Not around it. Through it. I slammed into the wooden rails. Alden stared. Developer Echo stared. I knew that bug. 20 years ago, the launch chicken's peck attack had ignored fence collision. The developers had fixed it because I reported it. The World Eater had somehow copied the original unpatched chicken behavior from my account history. The fake chicken stood on the other side of the fence and tilted its head. A private message appeared. Thanks for the bug report. I climbed over the fence. Then the entire sky changed. 11 black symbols appeared across the horizon. Not local markers, global ones. Developer Echo stopped breathing. Alden whispered, "What are those?" Echo opened his archive interface. His face went white. Launch anchors. The first shard had not been the only quarantined branch. There were 12. One had just reconnected because of me. Now the network recognized my Pioneer account as a valid bridge. The other 11 were waking up. Global legacy connection detected. Anchor 1, active. Anchor 2, responding. Anchor 3, responding. Anchor 4, responding. More lines appeared. Some anchors had names. The Endless Arena, the Unreleased Continent, the Dead Economy Test, the Dragon Intelligence Branch, the Player Monster Experiment. One name was completely corrupted. Another simply said, "Do not open." I pointed at that one. Why would anyone name it that? Developer Echo whispered, "Because we did not want anyone to open it." Helpful. The fake World Eater chicken looked up at the 11 symbols. It stopped running. For the first time, it seemed surprised too. Then one of the symbols answered. A message crossed the entire server. Pioneer detected. Welcome back, Renveren. I had never visited that shard. I had never seen that message before, yet it knew my name. The second anchor answered. Then the third. Then all 11 at once. Welcome back. Welcome back. Welcome back. Alden drew his old sword. Lyra and Drax looked toward the sky from across the field. Mira stopped chasing Greg. Every survivor from the first shard went silent. The black-eyed chicken climbed onto the fence beside me. I should have attacked it. It should have run. Instead, we both stared at the same 11 gates. Then the corrupted anchor produced one final message. Rested experience source recognized. Harvest protocol resuming. My interface froze. My rested bonus changed. 8,381,000%. Then 8,400,000. Then 8,500,000. It was going up. I was online. Rested experience was not supposed to increase while I was online. Developer Echo saw the number. That is impossible. The black-eyed chicken sent me a private message, not mine. I looked at it. What? Another message appeared. I did not make your bonus. For the first time all day, I forgot to joke. The rested experience had never been a harmless launch bug. Something in one of those sealed branches had been feeding experience into old inactive accounts for 20 years. My account was not special because it escaped a cap. My account had been used as storage. And now that storage had come back online, the 11 anchors opened a fraction wider. Something enormous moved behind the one marked, "Do not open." The fake chicken's feathers stood on end. That worried me more than anything. If the World Eater was scared, I wanted to be on another planet. Unfortunately, I was the bridge. A new quest appeared only for me. Legacy Harvest Collection. Objective: return accumulated experience to source. Reward: account restoration. Penalty for refusal: collection will proceed manually. I closed the quest. It reopened. I closed it again. It reopened. Greg floated up beside me carrying a fresh stack of paperwork. "Your Majesty, I have terrible news." I pointed at the 11 holes opening in the sky. "Worse than that?" He looked up. His ghostly face went pale. "No." "Good. Save it." The regret rooster stepped to my left. Alden stepped to my right. The black-eyed World Eater chicken remained on the fence. Technically my pet. Technically an extinction event. Currently level 1 again. I looked at my own prestige rank. 3. Level 87. Rested bonus still climbing. I had started the morning as a level 4 noob with a wooden sword and unresolved chicken trauma. Now I was king of Gregland, owner of a floating turtle city, accidental employer of 8,000 people, 3-time prestige lunatic, and apparently a 20-year battery for something hidden in a server no one was ever supposed to open. I still did not have a proper weapon. Captain Orla walked over and handed me a broom, a normal broom. She did not say anything. I accepted it. The black-eyed chicken looked at the broom, then at me. A private message appeared. Temporary alliance? I smiled. Do not make me regret this. The World Eater chicken tilted its head. Another message appeared. Too late, the first launch anchor tore open. Something on the other side laughed. I tightened my grip on the broom. Then the system gave me one more notification. Beginner weapon equipped. Tutorial combat lesson available. Reward. 5 experience. I stared at it. Developer Echo stared at it. The World Eater chicken stared at it. I pressed accept.